Alrighty, hello. Welcome. Tonight we're covering the election because why the hell not? Uh let's just join this.
This is nutty. And so I think basically American Fact's going to aim to weigh in heavily on the midterms and intermediate elections, as well as just doing common sense stuff like having DAs who prosecute repeat violent criminals who are obviously a danger to people.
By the way, have you guys, Elon May, your thoughts on the strategy by Kamala, getting all these A-list celebrities to support them? It's the campaign. I'm surprised she's even that close in the polls because the campaign is mainly focusing on the strategy of emotions. So no logic, no numbers, no policy. All her answers are very vague. Yet for some reason, it still works with some people in the US. I just don't understand why not enough people see through it, and I wonder whether that could happen in future elections as well, because it's not an election based on facts.
I know, but I was a former Democrat and I was a staunch Democrat. And,
Oh.
I didn't trust a Republican. I didn't trust the Fox News or any Republican.
Alright.
Put out
We'll watch Fox for a
potentially
little bit, and then
incorrect
we'll
things
switch
that
to
are
CNN,
happening.
and we'll go back
But
and
at this
forth all
stage of the
night.
game, it's really important to know that this has been a very safe and accessible election. Everyone's votes have been very secure. America has the most safe and secure election system in the world. We saw that last cycle. And in previous cycles where the Trump administration had brought forward allegations of fraud, all of those, the vast majority of them were struck down
Let's see what
by
happens
independent
with this
judges.
kooky shit
So
tonight.
we may continue to see some of this rhetoric. I don't think that it's helpful right now. We need to make sure that as polls are open, people continue to get to the polls. The most important thing is that people be able to know that their vote is safe and secure and it's accessible to everyone.
So, Red, I want to talk about the Harris campaign and where the Harris campaign stands right now. Last night on CNN, a senior Harris campaign advisor, David Plouffe, said this to Aaron Burnett, that he believes they can win all 7 battlegrounds. He says they can, not that they will. He believes that, though. Is that feasible right now? Why is this race so close between Harris and Trump?
Well, look, we always knew that this would be a close election that has been heavily predicted. The polls have been very close. But the vice president has said over and over she is asking for every American's vote, and she's leaving no stone unturned. Yesterday, she was, crossing across Pennsylvania from the top to the bottom of the state, talking to voters about her plan to lower cost and what she'll do as president of the United States to bring, down the cost of groceries, to make the cost of housing more affordable. And I think that that is a message that is really resonating, not just in Pennsylvania, but in places like Nevada and Wisconsin. And so, I think the campaign is really focused on bringing the message to working families about how they're going to make their lives better. And I think that that's why you heard David Plouffe talk about last night. All of these states are within the realm of possible.
Let's make sure I'm louder than this.
So I want to talk also, though, about this narrative that has been front and center throughout the course of the campaign cycle. How Harris has had to redefine herself, especially in relation.
It's moving me down on Twitch and YouTube, so I'm not blocking him. It's kind of rude.
Harris, allegedly, you can argue,
we're at ComaCast on Twitch and YouTube as well.
Biden drag in some of these early exit polls right now. That has been a key feature, how she would distinguish herself from Biden. We know this race is going to be decided among independents.
Any political views we want to talk about tonight?
Voters. Has she done a good enough job of distinguishing herself from Biden?
I think it's funny that my state's a battleground.
The president is very proud of the things that she accomplished as part of the Biden-Harris administration, which are mostly bipartisan things. The bipartisan infrastructure law, the bipartisan
Clean this way so the camera's still on.
All of those are investments in Americans, working families, things like roads and bridges that create jobs. But the vice president has also really talked about what is important to her, right? And so she's put plans together focused on working families and small businesses. She's made access to
what's up, Seth?
Credits for small employers and Main Street.
Nice to see you on Twitch.
She's focused on bringing down
and you probably just got ads.
Housing and groceries for families. Those are things that are plans and that are really unique to the
Sit there and watch them for me, bud.
And I also
thanks for the like, Courtney.
Very focused on building a broad coalition. So in addition to really working to, talk to the African American,
be sure to like and share. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. Give me a heart
Puerto Rican community,
on
for
TikTok,
example, and young voters, on college campus coming out to support the vice president. I think all of that is a really unique sign to the strength of the coalition that the vice president brings to this conversation.
You're gonna flip back and forth, all right?
Because issues are front and center in this campaign, including reproductive rights and abortion. Here is the Dobbs decision from 2 years ago. Is that fading, or is that ramping up amongst the base of the Democratic Party here? Will we see any effect, especially amongst this key voting demographic, that's suburban women and young women here? It seems like the Harris campaign has put a lot of their eggs into that voting constituency here. Will it matter?
Look,
I just got a thing on TikTok says learn more about U.S. elections.
The vice president's been clear. But
thanks for the like, Seth.
Here, right? This is about freedom. Do you want a candidate that supports freedom? If so, you want to support Kamala Harris. Do you want a candidate that will take us forward and continue to grow the economy? If so, you want Kamala Harris. Do you want a candidate who's more focused on bringing the country together, reaching across the aisle with people like Liz Cheney, for example? Then you want Kamala
Liz Cheney's out of office. You don't got to worry about her.
Has offered his tax breaks for his, buddies who run really large businesses, and a lot of divisiveness. And I think a lot of folks that include suburban women, but also include many constituencies, right? We talk to everyone, are tired of division, and they really, really want to move forward. They want to feel joy. They want to feel optimistic about America. And I think Kamala Harris is a new generation. She's a new kind of candidate.
Brett, just lastly, what else are you watching for tonight? You have such a pulse on all of this. I'm sure you're watching a lot of metrics.
Yeah, look, I think, early on in the night, we're going to see Kamala Harris doing quite well and Democrats doing right well. The reality is we will see some of the southern states be called early, and those are states that generally will be favorable to Donald Trump. But I think it is likely that we probably won't know the complete results of the election tonight. We'll have a better idea, I think, early in the morning, around 5 or 6 a.m. about where Pennsylvania is
seems
headed.
That way.
We have to remember that, until all the ballots are in, Pennsylvania can't start counting, and then there are several days where they can do this thing called curing of the ballot. Nevada also has rules where ballots can, still come in if they're marked by mail for 4 or 5 days. So I think, what we'll see is we'll see a strong night for the vice president in the beginning. Maybe we'll start to see some, tipping over to the Republican side. But I really think over the next few days, you'll see the vice president, as all of the ballots are coming in, begin to take the lead in states out across the West.
Right. Brett Buttle, I can't thank you enough. You've been really instrumental this campaign cycle. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Have a great night.
All right, in the meantime here, we do want to take just another quick commercial break. The results will keep coming in. We brought you some out of Kentucky and Indiana especially. We'll be bringing in my colleague here, Austin Westphal, in the Live Now newsroom, and some more experts and analysts to help us make sense of some of these themes, some of these plots and storylines that we have been discussing all year. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Actually, no, let's not go to break. We have Philadelphia officials up there speaking to reporters about some of these claims the former president has made about voting in the city. Let's watch.
Uh-oh.
There is no cheating. There's no smoke to it. People say things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. We've learned this in 2020. We have hard-working people trying to give the citizens of America the election that they deserve.
Do you know any specifics of the allegation?
Hold on 1 second.
So as I said in my social media post, there is no truth to the allegation that there is massive cheating in Philadelphia. We have been in touch with the RNC and anybody who has any complaints throughout the day. We've been responsive. Everything has been handled appropriately. So we look forward to continued voting until 8 p.m. when the polls close. We also have ballots that still need to be counted inside the warehouse.
I think ballots should be counted as they're processed.
Put Philadelphia on blast on his Truth Social.
Here's the reality. I mean, no one's worried, no one's concerned. We have hard-working Philadelphians who work on the election boards, who do the canvass. They're hard-working citizens. And again, that's an attack on the hard-working people who are honest. And we have evidence and proof to show that everything is on the up and up, and it has always been. And again, we're not going to be here all the time just addressing whatever is on social media. We have an election that we have to run. So we actually ought to please respect that and let us finish our job.
What do you want to say to Donald Trump right now?
I don't want to say anything, Donald Trump. Only thing I want to say is us, citizens of Philadelphia, you're going to get the election that you deserve, and you have always been having accurate results and honesty. And we have great citizens here working to do their job.
Do you have any specifics of the allegations?
What sucks is the 4 counties in Pennsylvania that are cities are going to be blue.
that's not nothing new. I mean, this playbook has been played since 2020. We saw it, and we're
yeah. So did Hillary Clinton there, bud.
to give the citizens and give America the election that they deserve.
Ooh, ending the 7-week strike. Tropical storm Rafael strengthens in Caribbean. That's interesting.
We'll be happy to look into them, and we will make sure that we are as responsive as we can be. But until we see anything specific, there's nothing here.
Ukraine troops engage in combat with North Korean units. That is very interesting. In Russia for the first time. Huh. That's not good. That's really not good. But that's what weak leadership gets you. About an hour and a half. Yeah, pool's closing. Oh, he got Jordans on. You see them?
City commissioners there in Philadelphia talking about the electoral integrity of the votes there in Philadelphia after some of these claims made by former President Trump on his social media platform, Truth Social, claiming that cheating was going on. Those two officials you just heard there are saying there is no credence to some of those allegations being made and leveled by former president.
There never is any credence to them. They're just allegations that will go on through the night. If it doesn't go on through the night, then whoever loses will say the same thing, whether it be Harris, whether it be Trump. It's just the way it works. It doesn't matter. Win or lose, someone's going to cry foul. Let's pull up another one. What's this?
The best.
Here we go.
The only time where Trump was that popular in New Hampshire.
They really have him at 60%?
When he lost the Iowa caucuses.
That's kind of
the New Hampshire primary when he was
a
running
good thing
for the GOP nomination. And then in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, he only lost New Hampshire by less than half a percentage point. In 2020,
yeah, that's
Trump
just scary.
lost it by 7, but New Hampshire's not a state that Trump needs at all. I mean, 2016 was a huge surprise that New Hampshire even got this close. I think Trump will definitely do better than he did against Joe Biden now against Kamala Harris, but winning the state is going to be quite difficult as it generally
California lost
shifting to the left. Democrats did pretty well there. Democrats did pretty well during the midterms.
Yeah, I know you guys are here.
The winner will be announced today. I would expect no, but I do believe that we'll have a pretty good picture of who's going to win. So you can probably go to bed kind of knowing who's actually going to come out on top. But in terms of an official projection coming from the big news sources, that is not the most likely thing. Also with slow mode, I'll try to figure that out. I honestly don't know how to turn it on. Somebody asked if there are any
let's look and see here. Election night
House
live,
Senate
right side
2020.
broadcasting here.
We know how important this
We'll
election
watch
is.
this for a minute.
The most consequential election of our lifetime. And I love how you just
My man got a
showed how
JCPenney suit on.
Kentucky and Indiana are starting to show more red on the map, and you would expect both of those states to go to President Donald J. Trump. Those are also big agricultural states. Rural America could very well decide this election for Donald J. Trump, just like we saw in 2016.
Exactly, and so we know that.
Oh, look at that already, too.
Polls that are reclosing soon.
Oh, yeah, that's...
A lot of this coverage brought to you by Tax Network
9% reporting,
800-357-1450
4% reporting, and it's already red. But that's kind of part of the red wall
Tax Network USA.
right here.
They're the crew to call. 800-357-1450.
9 p.m.
Also, let's talk about Ultra Right Beer. Wow. How about the fight insignia on the beer can there? Ultra Right Beer, as you guys see on your screen. If you can go to TrumpFightBeer.com,
1 a.m.
save 10% using that code RSBN. So, you know, between Republican Red and the Fight Beer.
How does he have 59% of the vote already?
Trump is the winner. If you don't drink, totally cool. But it's a great product right there. Ultra Right Beer.
I knew people were going to vote for Kennedy.
Seth Weathers being a great CEO
What about Jill?
of that company.
Jill's always
From
in the
state
running.
of Georgia, and he wanted to make a difference when Bud Light went woke. And it is a great product.
She's another one that's
it's
too
nice to
old.
spend dollars
Sure,
where
she's been on the ballot
companies
since
are
I started voting.
instead of having to surrender to these woke left agendas.
Who's Chase Oliver?
Big corporations.
Exactly.
He looks like
All
a
right,
pencil
so
neck.
for Bobby McNeely,
Good
Jim
age,
Moran,
though.
Matthew
Good
Alvarez,
age.
We're just getting started. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
RFK, 70 years old.
Hi, folks. RSBN founder and
See, I think
Joe Steele's here.
the Democratic Party
Did you know
fucked
there's
themselves
nearly
over with
$1
that
trillion
one.
of infrastructure and pandemic
Name,
funds
legacy,
in the
you had
state?
it all.
That's right. There's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation.
See, I have no problem,
just
like, if
during
right
COVID.
now
And I'm sure you remember the terrible
you
effects
start
that high
sending
prices
stuff
had on
through,
most
like, for
Americans.
Pennsylvania, New York, New
The surge in
Hampshire,
prices can
Maine,
a gold
Vermont,
IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate
you know,
inflation hedge for your
Massachusetts,
savings
Rhode
in
Island,
uncertain times.
all those states, like, that
See how
stuff
to
should
protect
start
your
coming in
IRA
now.
or 401k. Get your free info kit on
Give
gold
us
by
an
texting
idea.
the word Trump to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait for the president.
Where are they at? Where are they at? They gotta be live, right? Yeah.
I think the energy difference is definitely there. Also, a huge factor.
Holy
Trump
shit.
was an unknown commodity in 2016. No one quite knew what he stood for or how divisive he can be. Then they saw 4 years of Trump governing, and there was a lot of chaos and there was a lot of dysfunction in those
I don't
4
think so.
years. And yes, you could make the case if you were a Trump supporter or if you're a Republican voter that the last 4 years have been pretty difficult too. Economically speaking, Americans are not feeling like they are better off today economically than they were 4 years ago. So you can make that case.
So what I'm
but
seeing right
the
now is
chaos and the
this is where the big
dysfunction
win's
of
going to come
Trump
from the
years,
Republicans.
that is something
Win this
that,
or not.
people,
It'll be
even if
these.
they had forgotten about it,
Which will suck for
with
Harris
the
if she wins the
MSG
presidency
rally, the
because then
subsequent
she's not going to get
final
anything done.
campaigning, the closing out message going all over
Even
the
if she
place
does,
from
like,
Trump, I think people
executive
were reminded of what a second Trump term might
things,
look like.
it still
Some
won't
people
matter.
liked it, a lot of people did not like it, and I think that last week momentum shift towards the Harris campaign became important. Also, if I can quickly add, and I'll let you go after that, is Harris was not stressing, unlike Hillary Clinton 8 years ago, Harris was not stressing, definitely not in the last week, 10 days, about the potential historicity of this presidency, that she could potentially become the first woman president. No, I don't think she made it about that at all. She was stressing instead on how this is about all women, how this is about reproductive rights. She also made it about men, because men do care about reproductive rights for women, because ultimately, if you have an unwanted teen pregnancy, it obviously takes a huge toll on the woman, but it also takes a toll on the man. So there were a lot of men who were voting on this issue in a way they were motivated to vote
I
on
think
this
you have
issue
more
in a way
men
that we've
voting
been
on
seeing since
policies
2022,
that
midterm
matter to
elections,
us.
and then subsequently the 2023 off-year elections, and today in the presidential election. I think the people who were most
I mean,
aggrieved
sadly,
by that
abortion does
voting
not matter to
decision by the
most men.
Supreme Court are the ones who've been most
I mean, to me, it's not
motivated to
a
come out and vote
fuck
for
around and
Kamala
find out,
Harris, vote
get your
for
way
the
out of jail
Democratic
card.
ticket. So I think a couple of strategic calls that the Democratic campaign, the Harris campaign made, and I think that
Like,
is
you
sort
made a
of
decision
helping
now
them,
and think you should
in
reap what you
ways that have
sow,
not
but
helped Hillary
that's my
Clinton.
opinion.
Of course, one must underline that back in 2016, Hillary Clinton was quite an unpopular figure, even though she could have made history had she won in 2016. I don't think Harris is anywhere close to unpopular as Hillary Clinton was in 2016. So all of these factors,
I think
between 2024 and 2016.
what's
But like I
going
said,
against
still early
Harris
days.
is she's
In
part of
15 minutes,
Biden's
you will have
party,
the first of the big battleground
part of
states,
his
Georgia,
administration.
that will close polls. Whether or not any of
Now,
the
if she would have got this the right way,
we'll have to
legit,
wait and see.
I
But
might
keep
feel
an eye
different.
out. If Harris manages to retain Georgia just like Biden managed to flip Georgia, then this is going to be a blowout night for the Democrats. But if Trump takes Georgia back into the Republican corner, then we'll have to wait longer because Harris and her team will have to wait for Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin to be pocketed in their corner for them to claim the presidency.
Oh yes, and interestingly, you spoke of 2016 and the verdict in 2016, Zaka. In 2016, just as in 2000, we saw that the winning candidate marched towards the White House despite losing the popular vote. So, like I said, it can go either way. But thank you for that detailed perspective. I want to go across to Akanksha Swaroop joining us from New York as well. you know, the mood on the ground has been quite enthusiastic, Akanksha, and a crowded New York City in your frame is what we see. Tell us a little bit about what you've managed to pick up, and also give us a sense of, you know, what Zaka was talking about. What is it that Harris supporters are holding against Trump when they vote against Donald Trump?
All right, Kritsween, first of all, let me tell all our viewers there in India that I am at
Spider-Man.
And you can see there's a motley colored bunch of New Yorkers over here, and you see them.
Most of them are probably tourists.
Press reporters. Let me inform you that many of
Tourists.
them are from various parts of the world, and they're all here to cover the U.S. election. And I think when you see people from all over the globe coming and covering the U.S. election, that only goes on to emphasize, or rather underscore, the importance that this election sort of wields, not just domestically, but across the entire world. But to come quickly to the question that you just asked me, nothing's going to change as far as New York is concerned. There are 5 boroughs in New York City, in this state, that go to polls. And out of these 5 boroughs, there's only Staten Island, which is known to be Republican. But overall, if you see, this has been a dominant sort of Democratic stronghold for years and decades, as I've been highlighting, that it was only in the year 1984 that New York opted for a Republican president, and that was Ronald Reagan. And ever since, you've only had Democratic presidents over here. So even earlier during the day, when I was talking to one of the congressmen, you know, he in fact went on to say that nothing's going to change, and that normalcy must prevail, and that status quo must remain, and which means that Kamala Harris will stay. But you do have a Madison Square Garden rally that took place earlier, which has been making headlines over here with both the Democrats and whoever chooses to be Republican. Many of them have been undecided about who to vote for. Believe it or not, some of them even sound quite fed up, to put it as bluntly, with the two-party system.
Yeah.
And they are attributing this to...
hey, we can always have a 10-party system like England.
Of course, the Democrats have, in their defense, said that, you know, they've very successfully and skillfully managed to control the economy, which was almost dying after the pandemic. You know, there was a term that was coined, Bidenomics, which was about keeping inflation under control.
And it did not.
There are many Republicans who are questioning what has Kamala Harris done, what is her credential as a vice president. I think we're forgetting that it was only under this Biden administration and under Kamala Harris that they began an office to address the issue, the rampant issue of gun violence. And gun violence is something that has not really been addressed by Donald Trump's administration in the past administration, but that's something we've seen happen during the Biden administration. We've talked enough about, you know, Kamala Harris promising to protect the right over, you know, for women over their bodies, to preserve reproductive freedom. Because I've been talking to several New Yorkers, and they're saying that the United States, which is supposed to be this beacon of hope and democracy for an entire world, is in fact going back to dark ages when you look at, say, decisions like Roe versus Wade being overturned. And that only goes on to talk about what women are facing in the United States. We've been talking about how this is a very basic right, and so to even talk about it in terms of gender perspective is sad, but that is the unvarnished truth over here in the United States, that women have to stand up for themselves for basic rights, which is access to abortion, and that is going to be a defining one, not to forget how economy
that, if at all, give an edge to Kamala Harris, given how women have historically voted at slightly higher rates in the United States of America. We'll have to wait and watch how that plays out. Akanksha, many thanks for joining us with that detailed perspective. We need to quickly cut across to CNN Live.
by 7 p.m. So as long as they are in line, they will be allowed to cast their vote. And then once the voting is done, the memory cards from the scanners will go in one vehicle, speaking specifically here in Gwinnett County, to the voters' elections office, and then the ballots will be sent in a separate vehicle. So you'll have hundreds of cars, 2 from each of the 156 precincts, in a caravan off to the office, and then they can begin to be tabulated.
Caravan, a parade of sorts. And what's so important is how transparent it is. The Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, Victor, just the other day telling, by every 15-minute period what they expect to have come out. They just want everyone to see the transparency there. All right, as those polls get ready to close, you see Victor there in Georgia. Let's go to Pennsylvania, another battleground state. Polls getting ready to close there in just over an hour. Brian Todd is at a polling place near Pittsburgh, crucial part of the state. Brian,
Cannonsburg.
what are you seeing there?
Down by you, Seth.
Aaron, heavy voter turnout here in Washington County, just south of Pittsburgh, and you mentioned the polls closing in about a little over an hour. We're expecting a little bit of a late surge here at these precincts. 2 precincts are voting here. I have Craig Zemba here. He's a voter here in Washington County, just voted. Craig, the operative question we asked so many people, who did you vote for and why?
Donald Trump.
Okay, why?
Oh.
And really comes down to just inflation, cost of living, and how things have gone in the last 4 years.
The process, do you trust the voting process? Did it go smoothly for you? There are flare-ups, that a lot of hype and misinformation is out there. Do you trust the voting process?
I do. I've lived here for a while, and everything's always been very smooth.
Okay. Thanks for talking to us, Craig. Good luck. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, back to you as we expect maybe a late surge here in Washington County. 1 hour left till poll closings.
We'll see if there's a surge. And again, another voter there. You see that Trump voter you're talking to talking about the economy, as we have heard from other Trump voters. Brian, thank you. And let's go over to Pamela Brown at the voting desk now. So, Pamela, first round of statewide poll closings coming. Georgia's going to be in that list here in just a few moments. What are you looking for?
Right, this is huge. Polls are closing there in just minutes, most of the polls, and then an hour after that, we're going to get those first results from this key battleground state. Georgia's Secretary of State is telling us that turnout could exceed 5 million.
Wow.
That's more than 70% of all active voters in the state.
That's
so
good.
Clearly high interest there from voters. We're going to find out that total number sometime after the polls close.
The issue with
So
states, I guess,
know
are
from Georgia
these
Gabriel
areas
Sterling, who I've just been speaking with, that tonight's
that
first results account
really determine what the state
counts
is.
for 75% of the overall votes. And the Secretary of State there says that he's optimistic we'll know who clinched Georgia by the end of tonight. Now, one note on Fulton County, Georgia's most populated county and home to Atlanta. We saw several non-credible bomb threats earlier today. We just heard a little bit about that from Victor Blackwell. 5 polling locations were granted a voting extension as much as 45 minutes past 7 p.m. Eastern. Once polls close, the county will
I don't understand why people would do that. Let people come and vote, and then call it a day. Like that's it.
Precincts will report by just about an hour from now, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be keeping a close eye on this key battleground state that Biden nearly flipped in 2020 as results start to roll in, Aaron.
That's right. It looked one way, then it looked the other way. It was so close.
11,779.
But who was counting?
Donald Trump was when he called Brad Raffensperger.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. And I hear John King right next to me.
Yeah.
So
Pam's right.
You
Donald
chuckle?
Trump was
That's right.
counting. I was chuckling because Georgia, a little PTSD
Yeah.
over Georgia and all that. But as you see the big clock there.
Yeah, we're calling
Pam
them.
just said votes will be coming in soon. 3 minutes, 30 seconds. We get some big polls closings. We'll get to those in a second. I want to look quickly at one thing we have already. The polls have not completely closed. They finish in Indiana. I just want to show you. And again, we're looking at the early results just to see if there are any clues, right? We don't want to overplay things. We also don't want to ignore things that we see, right? So you come right up here. You see one dot of blue in the middle of the Indiana
There'll
map,
be a couple
right?
more
That's
dots of
Hamilton
blue.
County. It's just north of Indianapolis. This, if you went back 20, 30 years ago, you'd see a lot of farms in this county. Now it's much more suburban, especially as you get closer to Indianapolis. Why do I raise that question? It's blue, right? 58% of the vote could flip. Look how close it is. It's 50 to 49. So it could well end up red, as it did in 2020 and 2016. But it's just, is this a signal that Kamala Harris, in the first election, post-Dobbs, in an issue where we know Donald Trump struggled in the suburbs in the 2018 midterms, struggled mightily in the suburbs in losing in 2020, is this a sign? I pointed out this way. Harris at the moment at 50, Joe Biden was at 46 in this county in 2020, and Hillary Clinton was at 37% in this county.
They're doing a good job there.
So the suburbs are critical in key races. Indiana is most likely to stay red. Let's be very clear about that. But as you come back to 2024, again, as you look at these early results that we're getting in some states, you try to see, is it possible we could look at some other places, look in some of the battleground states and the close-in suburbs. So something to keep an eye on as we go. A quick look at Kentucky. This one's about to close. Some more results have come in. Let's just see if it's any mass to it. Again, Kentucky is a reliably red state. We expect it to stay that way. But you will look. Scott Jennings was talking about.
Yeah, why is there only 400 votes in?
In the suburbs, the vice president was a big early lead there. Frankfort is Franklin County. It's Frankfort in the suburbs. You see it there. So let's just compare. So 54%, if you round that up, 2024 at about 42%, 48% for Joe Biden. So right now, in Indiana and in Kentucky, you see the vice president at the moment overperforming Joe Biden in some suburban areas. Now, they're in red states, so we don't know whether that's going to matter as we get into these states. But we're about to get some clues. I want to move the map a little bit. We're about to get results in Virginia. Virginia has been blue for a while, but it was purple not all that long ago. So here's the question in Virginia tonight, which is going to report results to us very quickly. Do we get a 10-point race, as we had in 2020? Do you get Democrats winning by 10? That tells you the vice president is holding the Biden map in a state that will go blue. Or do you get a 5-point race, as we had in 2016? That would tell you that Donald Trump not only is running up the score in these red rural areas, but that he's improved his standing in the suburbs a little bit. You know, you see in here it's Northern Virginia and down around the Richmond area there. So we'll get some key clues. And then also coming up moments ago, of course, one of the biggest battlegrounds of all, as Pam Brown was just noting, 11,779 votes. That was the margin when Joe Biden flipped Georgia. The last time it had gone Democrat, Bill Clinton eked it out in 1992, thanks to Ross Perot in part there. But it's been a long time since Georgia. So as Adi noted, is it a state in transition or is it a tug-of-war state?
Tug-of-war state, probably.
Again, 11,000 votes 4 years ago. The results in battleground Georgia to come in just about any second now. And again, you look at Atlanta, you look at the suburbs, and you see all that red is Donald Trump's base coming out to vote.
All right, and we are just moments away from the first big round of poll.
There we go.
Voting's about to end in 6 states, 6 with a total of 60 electoral votes at stake. Keep an eye on the pivotal battleground of Georgia, as most voting is ending there right now. And CNN can bring you a projection now. CNN projects that Kentucky goes to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will win the Commonwealth of Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes. And CNN
There's 8 for Trump.
That Vermont will go to Kamala Harris with its 3 electoral
Knew
votes.
what the
Kamala
4
Harris
people that voted there.
The state of Vermont. It is too early to project in Georgia, Indiana, South Carolina, and Virginia. Let's take a look at the electoral map now to see where the candidates stand. 270 electoral votes.
Long way to go for these two.
Donald Trump has 8. Kamala Harris has 3 electoral votes. Let's bring you a key race alert now. Indiana. Donald Trump in the lead there with 60.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 38.1% of the vote. Donald Trump has an 86,829 vote lead. That's with an estimated 13% of the vote in. Let's go to John King now at the Magic Wall. John?
And so, Jake, now we wait, right? You have the states that we've projected, Kentucky and Vermont. Those are the ones you expect. But so what are you going to get here? You see some first votes in Florida. Look at that. Let's just take it out. Okay, it's just south here. It's in Osceola County, just south of Orlando. We like to look at votes when they come in, right? Florida tends to be a reliably red state. Again, though, it'll be a test of whether Harris can improve their standing in the suburbs, or put it this way, whether Trump can improve his standings in the suburbs, whether Trump's collapse in the suburbs continues. First votes in Florida, always interesting to take a look. But what we're waiting for is the battleground just north of Florida, which will be essential in this race. Again, Vice President's easiest path is those blue wall states, but Georgia is a competitive state. What are we looking for? All right, number one, we're looking for the Democratic Foundation, which is Fulton County. Sarah Murray noted Victor Blackwell is in the suburbs.
It's a weird-ass shaped county.
Will stay open, but we should get votes pretty quickly. And when you're looking at Fulton County, Atlanta is here. You see how it stretches, a lot of suburbs around it, right? We're at 0 right now. What are you looking for? You're trying to see if she can not only match the president's percentage, get 73% of the vote, but by the end of the night, sometimes this count could last into tomorrow, is the math margin. Right, because if you look here and you come out here, there are 159 counties. 159 counties in Georgia. A lot of them are like this. I'm just picking one randomly. They're small, they're rural, but Trump.
Yeah, but if you win most of the counties in a state, you should win the state.
Rural America coming out in battleground Georgia, it is absolutely essential to his math.
That's kind of the craziest part about this.
Like that. But if that is the case, and that's what we expect to be the case, the Trump base comes out, then the key will be, does the Harris base come out in Fulton County, Atlanta, and then what happens here? Clayton County, just below, predominantly African-American, strong Democratic suburb, you need to run up the number, but it's not just the percentage. What's the raw math? Are Democrats coming out to vote? Democrats need high turnout to offset the Trump rural numbers. So that's one test. And then, for me, once you get further out here, let's go out where Victor Blackwell is, out here in Gwinnett County. Right, look at that. Joe Biden got 58% of the vote, Jake, right? You don't have to go back too far in history. It was just in 2012. Mitt Romney won this county. 4 years before that, John McCain won this county. This is the change in the American suburbs. Right? Georgia was a red state then. But look at Romney's number. The Republican share in 2012 in this suburban area is 54%. Right? That's what we're looking at tonight. How does Donald Trump fare in the suburbs, right? It goes down to 45% under Trump in 2016. He still won Georgia then at 45%. But then you come to 2020 and Trump's share drops to 40%. You cannot win in a competitive state if you are getting trounced like that in the suburbs. So can Trump get that number back up to 42, 43, 44? If he can, he's in play. If he can't, then this is the tug of war of the state. As long as Harris gets out her base, there's a flip side responsibility for her. But this, we talked a bit earlier about this. This to me, Georgia, North Carolina, demographically, they are just evenly split. They're tug of war. So we're going to see.
Yep.
And it does. It's cliche. It does come down to turnout.
So, can you take me to Florida?
Sure. We got to come back to 2024. You want to see results? Okay.
I think we have 1 million votes in from Florida.
Holy crap!
No, not 1 million. What do we have?
194,000.
194,000.
Yeah, you are. You're over a million.
Over a million votes. So this is obviously a state that we do expect ultimately is inclined to go red. And
yes.
The polls are still open there. We should know. Is there anything we can divine from where the vote has come in?
The cities will always be blue.
With a 224,000 plus lead right now.
The number one thing I would divine is we have another example, this time in a very large and very complicated state, that people have learned the lessons, built on the lessons of 2020, and that they're counting early votes and getting early votes out fast. And so that's a good thing for democracy, right?
So are these all
red state or blue state? I assume they are. David Challing can correct me if I'm not. Some of it could be a modest number of election day votes, but normally when you see a big batch of votes come in like that, it's early votes. So correct me if I'm wrong. So what can you glean from this? So you just want to look at big population centers. Duval County, this is one of the swing counties. Although Florida used to be a very competitive state, you would say who's winning Duval County? Right. If you want to say who's winning the governor's race or who's winning Bush versus Gore, you go to Duval County. It's not so much as a competitive state anymore, but it is a competitive county, as you see right there, 50 to 49. So you go back in time and you look, it was 51-48. Right, so you could argue, we need to get the final results. You could argue, if you want, Donald Trump's a little bit more competitive this time. If that result holds, we'll see how that plays out. Right, this is his home state now, but we'll see. But it's early to look at that. But that's one of the things you look at. The other thing you'll look at is, we don't really have it yet, is here, the I-4 corridor,
the I-4.
St. Petersburg, Orlando, over to the beach. And
That'll,
you see it. And then,
Tampa will be blue.
Again, I don't
Orlando
have no
probably blue.
Democrats going to win Florida. But again, you will see, are Democrats turning out? Right, are Democrats turning out? There's some, there's been a lot of reporting about this. Harris lose a little tiny bit of the Jewish vote because of the Israel unhappiness over Israel-Gaza and how she has talked about that in the White House. You'll see a little bit of that down here.
Josh Shapiro
when you get to
from Pennsylvania.
And out in Detroit
probably
as well,
one of your next presidential candidates. Very strong candidate.
Florida will stay that color, but keep an eye on it. Sometimes you get surprised.
Right, and one of the other things that's interesting about trying to divine a national view of based on
I don't know if
is that as I recall,
DeSantis will run again.
DeSantis, who's a very conservative Republican governor, I think he won Miami-Dade when he ran for re-election. Is that not right?
Yeah, he likes.
You have the governor's. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be.
No, it's all right. If you want to look, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's the Rubio race. We got to come to governor. Yes, he won. He won Broward.
He won. Chris won Broward.
Chris won Broward. Sorry, DeSantis won Miami-Dade.
DeSantis won Miami-Dade.
Yes.
And it was suggested that he also maybe did better than traditionally Republicans had done with the Hispanic vote, which is obviously significant. And that's one of the areas that people wonder about the vulnerabilities that Harris might have in the Latino
Absolutely. Although I would say in Florida you have the most complicated, diverse Hispanic vote in any state in America. It's just much more diverse than in other places, which what makes it more complicated and fascinating, but it has become, you're absolutely right that it has become, especially down here, more Republican. In other states, it was, Obama won 2/3 of the Hispanic vote, and now it's become more of a fight in some of the other battlegrounds. But here, this is why one of the reasons Florida has become reliably red is because of the Republican success there. I would also argue it's because of weak Democratic candidates, but we'll save that conversation for another day because this is what we're worried about tonight.
Indeed. David Chalian has more exit polling from north of Florida in Georgia, the battleground that we're watching right now. David, how is the vote splitting among key groups of Georgia voters?
yeah, now that the polls have closed, Jake, we can look at some of those key demographics. So let's take a look at the African-American vote in Georgia. It's making up 30% of the electorate, according to these early exit polls. Harris obviously winning it big, 86% to 12%. But I want to note here, that 86% number, 4 years ago, Joe Biden had 88.
Trump won it in 2016. It has been a solidly Republican state, except in 2020.
What the hell?
So if
Why do we
early
switch
on
back
in
to
the night,
this?
Kamala Harris manages to flip Georgia,
You're at
that is
Harvard,
a
dude.
sign
It's
that
dark
she
there.
then has multiple paths to 270. If she doesn't, then she has to depend on the blue wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. The second milestone to look out for is 7:30 Eastern, which is 6.
She is doing better with young voters in Georgia than Joe Biden was doing against Trump 4 years ago. Trump got 43% of the youth vote in Georgia 4 years ago. He's down to 39% now, so that'll be something to watch. And then non-college white voters. This is obviously Trump's base. 32%, roughly a third of the Georgia electorate, are white, non-college educated voters. Trump's winning 81% of them. That is a bit better than he was doing 4 years ago, though 4 years ago, it was 35% of the electorate. So as a share of the overall electorate, it's come down. Harris is winning 18% of them, a tick under where Biden was 4 years ago. This will be the story of these exit polls in Georgia. Independent voters. They make up 31% of the electorate. That is a slightly larger share than what they made up 4 years ago. Trump is winning them by 11 points in these early exit poll results, 54% to 30%. Jake, 4 years ago, Joe Biden won independent voters in Georgia when he won the state by 9 points. So we've seen a swing of 20 points towards Trump in terms of the margin, from 9-point advantage 4 years ago with independents for Biden to now an 11-point advantage with independents for Trump in Georgia.
Wow. David Chalian and Dana, that is really significant. We see some incremental changes here and there when it comes to young voters. She's doing slightly better. Non-college whites, he's doing slightly better. But that independent swing is wild.
It's a huge swing, and I just want to underscore what David said. It is a bigger percentage of the vote share. Last time around, it was 28% independents. I made up 28% of the Georgia vote, and now it is 30%. And, I was right, 31%. And it is a total flip. It's a complete flip. Donald Trump is doing so much better with independents than Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden kind of ran away with independents 4 years ago, and of course he won the state.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why. What the reason is that there would be this dramatic flip of double digits in independents, and I am something you don't often hear in election coverage. It's something of a loss as to how you explain that independents would have gone so much more for Trump this time than they did for Biden last time.
Artie, hang on. We're going to go over to Jake for a projection.
Oh, we got a projection.
And we can bring you another CNN projection.
Indiana
CNN projects that Indiana will go to Donald Trump. Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes, will go to Donald Trump. Let's look at the electoral map now to see where the candidates stack up. Remember, 270 needed to win. Donald Trump has 19 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 3 electoral votes. They both still have a lot of electoral votes to get up to 270. Let's do a key race alert for you now. In Florida, Donald Trump is in the lead with 51.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 47.7% of the vote. Donald Trump has a 138,912 vote lead. I'm sorry, that just went up, a 224,914 vote lead. The votes are
35% in.
That's with more than a third.
That's kind of
the estimated vote
ready to call it.
From Florida, with its big fat packet of 30 electoral votes. The Commonwealth of Virginia, slightly more competitive. Donald Trump in the lead right now with 58.7% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 40.6% of the vote. That's only with a handful of votes in as of right now, about 1,500 votes. As we stand by for results from the crucial state of Georgia, we are counting down to the end of voting in the battleground state of North Carolina. This historic election night is just getting started. Stay with us. A key race alert on the very first presidential votes of 2024. Let's take a look. In Kentucky, Donald Trump is in the lead with 64.8% of the vote. Kamala Harris bringing up the rear with 34% of the vote.
Did we
Donald
just
Trump
redo
is
this? What's the deal here?
13,231 votes ahead of Harris. That's with 2% of the estimated vote in from the
Oh, Donald Trump,
Kentucky.
19
In the
to
state of
3.
Indiana,
Right.
Donald Trump in the lead there as well.
3.
71.8%
19.
to Kamala Harris's 26.8%.
What the hell did it just call?
He's 1,604 votes in the lead. That's just a few votes there.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Over to John King now. John, what are you watching for as these first actual votes come in from Indiana and Kentucky?
For the most part, Jake, it's just great to get started, right? We've
Yeah.
been talking about this race.
It's great to get
for a
this
year now,
thing
we can
going.
Actually count it.
Uh-oh.
All right, I want to quickly go across to Zaka Jacob joining us from Washington, D.C. once again. Zaka, keeping up with the CNN coverage, you know, they have given 19 electoral college votes to Donald Trump as opposed to 3 to Kamala Harris. Too soon in the game. Kentucky, Indiana given to Trump as opposed to Vermont given to Harris. But all eyes really on the swing state of Georgia.
Oh, absolutely. 7 p.m., it was 15 minutes ago, all of these states closed. Kentucky, Indiana have been reliably red states. They are hardcore Republican states.
Yeah.
But those states have gone
There's
to
no
Donald
question.
Trump. No surprises there at all. Georgia, I suspect, will take some time. I think the one big clue that we need to look out for are these two states which have now, which are closing early. Georgia is closed at 7. North Carolina will close in another 15 minutes. If Kamala Harris is running up numbers better than what Joe Biden did.
I don't think she will.
Won Georgia by a mere,
I do not think she will run the numbers better than he did.
numbers like Joe Biden in Georgia and like Joe Biden did in North Carolina, even though he lost North Carolina to Donald Trump. If she's able to maintain the same
That's 3% reporting. It's still
then
within.
it's going to be a good night for her. If on the contrary, Trump
Jesus.
takes Georgia back and runs up better numbers than he ran last time and defeats the Democratic candidate this time around, wins Georgia and retains North Carolina at better numbers than last time, then it's going to be a good night for Donald Trump. It's going to be a tough one for Kamala Harris because then she pretty much has to depend on that very narrow path to victory, which is winning Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That is 44 electoral college votes. It is the so-called blue wall states. I suspect
It's the Rust Belt
is
states,
the biggest one, and therefore it's the biggest prize of the night for both the Republicans and the Democrats. But like I said, if in Georgia and in North Carolina she's not able to run up the numbers just like Joe Biden did 4 years ago, then she has to focus her energies entirely on that narrow path to 270, which is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania closes at 8 o'clock, which is about 45 minutes from now. I don't see
I don't
any of
see
the
PA
networks
being
being
in.
able to call Pennsylvania anytime soon.
Yeah.
Similarly, Michigan and Wisconsin close at 9 o'clock Eastern time. That's in an hour and 45 minutes. So again, I don't see any of the networks being in a position to call Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a long night. But like I said, what you need to really look out for is in some of these competitive states. Florida, for example, used to be a battleground state for the last couple of election cycles. Donald Trump has won it and won it pretty successfully. You have a Republican governor in Ron DeSantis in Florida. What you need to look out for is Kamala Harris doing better than what Hillary Clinton did in 2016?
Probably not.
And is she able to match the numbers that Joe Biden got in 2020? If she's there in that same ballpark, then yes, she will be in for a good night in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If she is...
Let's see here. We'll put CBS up.
There you go. That may change things.
It's all going to be very
there in
left-leaning,
West
but
Palm
it is
Beach.
what it
Thank
is.
you. Also with us here, a 60 Minutes
I
correspondent.
mean, I don't really
Cecilia
care.
Vega. And Cecilia,
I'd like
I know
to
you've
see
been out on the campaign,
faces
doing a lot
of
incredible
dismay.
reporting on Sunday nights. And you know,
Let me
it's
turn the
interesting as we
closed
go
captioning off.
into this evening, the tone and tenor of the campaign, and especially how Donald Trump ended his campaign last night.
We've all covered a lot of campaigns in this room, and I was just, as Bob was talking, doing the math, I think I've been covering Trump now for going on a decade, dare I say. I have never heard his messaging as dark as it has been in recent weeks. You mentioned last night. We also, Tony just mentioned today, we saw the former president cast his ballot there in Florida. where he falsely claimed yet again fraud in 2020, and he
Oh
talked
god.
again
See,
with
like they're
lies
so
about,
stuck in the past.
criminal migrants.
Is there nothing going on here? Or are we just rolling what's up for tabs here? I think Utah will go red. 2%. Race called. Oh, it's Vermont. Jesus, Virginia's. Okay. Yeah, Washington's not in yet. West Virginia should be closing here with us in about 40 minutes. Alaska. Ooh. They should vote yesterday. California will be blue. Colorado will probably be blue. Connecticut will be blue. Delaware will be blue. I don't know why DC even has electoral votes. It's not a state. Indiana's basically, yeah. Iowa will be red. Kentucky, red. I think Maine will probably split. They usually do. I mean, that'd be cool if they could split them. Like if half the state votes for one person, half the state votes, split the damn points. That is a nice picture of Harris. I think that's what I was on already. Why am I in a queue? I don't want a queue. $19 to $3. Be a long night. Excuse me.
Social media, specifically there in Georgia. Christina, what is social media saying? What will they say in this press conference?
Uh-oh.
Andrew, so of course, like you just said, eyes are on Georgia right now just because of some of the news that has been coming out earlier today. In fact, if you did hear that Secretary of State earlier in the day, Brad Raffensperger, he made a comment in a live press conference talking about how this is the wrong Georgia to mess with as far as election interference. And here in our social center, we've been getting some updates directly from officials in DeKalb County as well, because more bomb threats were called there in the state. Now, this isn't the first time
That's
that we're
unnecessary.
seeing those happen across the social media platform again today, that we're getting those updates that they're happening at those polling locations. I do want to show you right now a full look at that screen there. This is what the DeKalb County Police Department has now tweeted. tweeted out as well. So they let it know that DeKalb County has now responded to multiple bomb threats. Those locations are also being listed there, but they are now reopened as well. So we're taking a look again at some of the things that are coming out from the social media aspect. This is what we know so far from the Associated Press. These are overwhelmingly Democratic suburbs areas that voting had to be suspended at those locations until police were able to confirm that there were no bombs. But right now, as you can see on your screen, those
What is that?
locations have now reopened.
That
County
a
officials,
tractor?
though, say that they're
Is that
also
a tractor?
seeking a court order to extend voting. This is very routine in Georgia when a polling place is
Nice.
disrupted. Earlier today, again, polling places in Fulton and Gwinnett County were also targeted. The Secretary of State did point out that he believes that had to do with Russian interference. Those threats, though, did turn out to be false. So, again, we're continuing here on Live Now from Fox to track some of the latest updates that we're having here in our studio with some of those updates, again, from
I
Georgia.
swear, living in the suburbs is ridiculous with these damn Dollar
We
Generals.
do know that now they are seeking to keep some of those polling locations in DeKalb County, one of those counties that was really looked at in the 2020 election.
Like,
open a bit
it's not my
more
fault
so
you
voters
missed the
can make
turn
sure that their
and
voices
can't get
are
around the house.
Christina,
It's a Dollar General
so
truck.
much. We do have officials there in Fulton
But
County.
these Dollar
Checking in
General
right now.
drivers
We'll
are
check
just
in just
straight
a moment here.
assholes.
Let's listen as some of these officials take to the podium here. Let's watch. All right, here we have it. This is in Fulton County, Georgia. Let's listen.
Thank you so much for being here.
Is that an Amazon warehouse?
24. We are here in the Fulton County Election Hub, and we are about to begin our evening briefing, our post-election briefing. My name is Jessica Corbett, and I'm the Director of External Affairs for Fulton County. And just
External
wanna thank
affairs.
all the journalists
Not
that are
internal,
from all over the
external.
world covering this election. You are about to hear from several officials here who've been part of our team today. You'll first hear from Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts, followed by our Fulton County Election Board Chair. We happen to be joined tonight by our State Election Board Chair. You will also hear from our Director of Elections for Fulton County, Nadine Williams, as well as Fulton County Police Chief and Fulton County Manager. So I'll kick it over to Chairman Pitts.
She'll kick it over.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you all for being here with us again. I told you in the beginning that we were ready, and the results of today's election proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Fulton County, Georgia was ready for the 2024 election. We have had 177 precincts, 1,800 well-trained professional poll workers who did an outstanding job today. In this magnificent facility here, which I think is due in large part because if you recall, those of you who were with us,
You look a little too old to be in office there, my guy.
scattered all over the county, different locations. But because of the $30 million investment that the Fulton County Board of Commissioners made, this facility has allowed us to consolidate all of our operations under one roof. And the result of that has been an outstanding 2024 election. I had the privilege of personally visiting 31 of the 177 precincts today, and I can report to you that I saw no unusual problems, no major problems whatsoever. Our workers were courteous, they were professional, and they were well trained and took care of business. Now, we are aware that there were several bomb threats. Those threats were handled professionally by our chief, and you'll hear from him in a few minutes. As a result of that, 5 of the 177 precincts will be staying open a little later, anywhere from a little later, meaning after 7 p.m., anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, based upon the time that they were closed. So I am personally well pleased, thrilled with the results of today's election, and I will give Fulton County, Georgia, an A for the great work that we've done. I'd like for you to hear from the chair of our Board of Registrations and Elections, Ms. Sherry Allen.
Good evening, good evening. Yesterday
see the best run elections in Fulton County, and I think you have. We did have violent control criminal activity, but there weren't waiting lines. Things were resolved fast for voters. I personally went out to sites when there were problems and resolved them, talked to managers. I want to thank all of the poll workers, all of the poll managers, all of the monitors, all of the poll watchers, everyone who helped make this a safe, secure, transparent, and accurate election. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to introduce the chair of the State Election Board, John Rivera.
Well, I really don't do interviews, so I guess I'm going to do all of them at once tonight. My name is John Freer. I'm chairman of the State Election Board.
I don't understand why these people all need their 15 minutes of fame.
To North Georgia and talk to election superintendents across the state and visit over 20 polling locations. And every one that I've been to, all I've seen is good things. I've seen some extremely dedicated poll workers, extremely dedicated superintendents and poll managers, and I am really optimistic that this may be the best election Georgia's ever held. Chairman Allen has invited me to see many polling locations in Fulton County. We went all the way from the north to the south, saw about 9 polling locations, and every one of them ran efficiently and effectively. The voters were happy. The poll managers were happy. The poll workers were happy. And when I see that happening, it makes you feel good. And the one thing, a lady told me today when I was in a poll in Gwinnett County, she said, the people
Just sharing the stream.
The way the polling's going, if they would just come work a poll one time, and understand all the checks and balances that we have in Georgia to make sure that it's fair and safe election, then they would understand that we do have fair, safe, and honest elections in the state of Georgia. And I want to thank the Secretary of State's office. They've done a great job with that. I want to thank all those poll workers out there and all those election superintendents and Chairman Allen for helping turn around what admittedly was not the greatest election in 2020, but Fulton County hopefully is going to have a great one this year. I got confidence in them, and I'm appreciative for all that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And our Director of Elections is Nadine Williams.
Good evening. On behalf of the Fulton County Department of Registration and Elections, I want to extend our sincere gratitude to the poll workers and election staff for their dedication into conducting today's successful election. We want to provide a special thank you to the county manager, Board of
See if we get these views on TikTok up.
Board of Registration and Elections, and the numerous Fulton County departments that supported us in this important effort. We planned, we prepared, and we delivered. Today, over 92,000 voters cast their ballots, adding to the 417,000 who participated in advance voting, and more than 26,000 absentee by mails that were accepted. These numbers surpassed the total turnout for the 2020 election. Despite a few attempted disruptions, our staff and poll workers remain steadfast in their commitment to ensuring a smooth process. In regards to these disruptions, there will be 5 precincts that have to remain open past the 7 o'clock poll closing. Those locations are C.H. Gallant Elementary School, which will remain open until 7:15, Etris Darnell Community Center, which will remain open until 7:45, Lake Forest Elementary School, which will remain open until 7:10, Southwest Arts Center, which will remain open until 7:43, and Northwood Elementary School, which will remain open until 7:45 p.m. Those locations and times are posted on our website and have been posted at the precincts. So now we are going to proceed with the election night tabulation, and we'll post final results tonight on our website when completed. You should be able to see the advanced voting and the absentee by mail results before 8 today. And
before 8.
Thank everyone who made this election possible.
All right, now our police chief for Fulton County, Georgia, Chief Yates.
Good evening. As I told you yesterday, we had 177 voting locations that we put. Hold it up.
Is that better? Good evening. As I told you yesterday, we had 177 polling locations, and we placed an officer at each one. That wouldn't have been possible without the help of every law enforcement agency within Fulton County coming together to make that happen. We planned heavily for the incident of a bomb threat being called in, and it's a good thing we did because that's the only thing that happened today was 32 bomb threats.
Jesus, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely unnecessary.
32. We were able to clear 27 of them very quickly without the need for an evacuation. 5 of them, the polls were temporarily closed down at the poll manager's request while we conducted the sweep, and they were reopened. We don't know where the threats came from at this point, and it is an active investigation, but we do intend on doing our best to locate who made the threats and prosecute them fully. Thank you.
Now, County Manager Dick Anderson.
Dude, he's winning the popular vote? Jesus.
So I just want to wrap up at least 4 questions by telling you how much preparation went into tonight and today and all of the advanced voting. Starting in 2020,
I don't know yet.
we began a whole-of-government approach. While the tip of the spear is Board of Registration and Election, it involved every aspect of Fulton County.
West Virginia's gone red.
Set by our chairman and the rest of the
Virginia's pulling blue, which is typical. Is the fucking door open? South Carolina's looking red.
Everything that went into it from this
Georgia is looking red at the moment.
technology that was used to the processes that were
And Florida's probably going to go red.
And I want to give a special recognition
Yeah,
to
71% reporting. She is 9% to make up.
also, of course, want to recognize Chief Yates for his
Yeah, it's just right here in the later time zone.
across Fulton County to provide the
Isn't in yet.
security necessary.
Oh, wait, Miami-Dade? Huh. Tampa, Orlando. Oh, Duval's red. That's interesting.
Have there been any bomb threats called into this facility? Have there been any threats called in for this?
Senate. How do I get out of this?
Not yet. Very concerned about it. But the good news is I don't have 177 other locations.
So Pennsylvania, nothing's in yet.
Location, and I think you saw when you came
New York, nothing's in yet. Vermont, New Hampshire. New Hampshire's very small. Massachusetts not closed yet. Rhode Island's not closed yet.
All right, so you have some of these Fulton County officials, including law enforcement there, update us on some of these bomb threats that have been made, these hoaxes to polling locations that have caused...
We're expecting to see North Dakota to Texas go red.
County, but in the state of Georgia,
Why are you surprised West Virginia's
so
red?
you can see, that
West
some of
Virginia is
these
like
officials are taking questions
usually a
on,
red
how
state.
ballot counting and how the voting will proceed.
That's probably going to be
henceforth from there.
all
You
red.
heard there from Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. They are keeping 10 locations open a little bit later because of some of
23 to
these
3.
disruptions there. you
But
heard
she's
from
going to
some of
start
these
pulling in when
county
she
managers
gets
there in
New
Fulton
York,
County,
and like she's going to
but
get.
there's no credence
She's probably going to get
to some of
North
these,
New England.
Bomb threats,
For
they
sure.
call them hoaxes there in Fulton
How many
County.
points
in the
are
meantime here, I'm Andrew
in
Kraft. Thanks for being with us.
Massachusetts?
We do
11.
have a few race calls that we do want to make here. I want to bring this up. All
Here.
eyes right now are focused on
Oh, shit.
and the presidential contest. Take a look at this. 4 electoral votes from West Virginia going to
Trump.
Donald Trump here. Well, it's
That
not
was
just
fast.
the presidential election contest there in West Virginia. It's some of these other down ballot races as well, including a key Senate race. Austin Westfall joining me yet again. Austin, I believe we have a Senate call in the race there.
Yeah, you know what? Let's pull up our Senate map because let's show the balance of power. This is no surprise, Andrew. I mean, we expected that retiring Senator Joe Manchin would be replaced by a Republican. Jim Justice, he's a popular two-term governor in West Virginia. You may know him from his English bulldog, Baby Dog, who made an appearance at the Republican National Convention. So, Justice...
Yeah, Bree, I voted. Did you vote?
Into the Senate's upper chamber. We don't have any numbers in from the Associated Press quite yet. You see here, I mean, we're looking at all zeros here, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
the Associated Press, knowing that this is a reliably
We
red
reload
state,
this.
not a surprise at all. That Justice comes away with the victory. They feel comfortable.
There you go. Get out there and vote.
So I think that's a good moment to kind of pause, and for the viewers who might not
Hi, Carrie.
understand this, you know, we're relying on the Associated Press.
First time voting.
An organization like the AP project a race
Jim Justice
call
was in a
without
Vela.
numbers there. And
Well, I mean, it
think
is
really
15 minutes.
to kind of hammer home here. Why?
Hope you're feeling okay, Carrie.
This was one of the races we knew was going to flip red. There was Senator Joe
Good.
Manchin. He was an independent. We knew Jim Justice, the Republican, had a huge advantage over the mayor of Wheeling, West Virginia. This was not going to be surprising at all. And as soon as some of these numbers do start coming in, most assuredly, they're going to be heavily lopsided in Jim Justice's favor. In the meantime, let's look at the wider senatorial map here, because
Thanks for the like,
this is
Bree.
the balance of power. There's still a lot of empty notches to fill in. As we've been mentioning, the Democrats have a lot more seats to defend, but the Republicans, so far, with one flip, that's what this candy can, we're gonna call it
He was
candy
supporting
can.
the Trump
Let's
rally.
zoom in on it.
Interesting.
It's basically pinstripe there. That means that a seat has flipped. That seat went from independent to Republican. We'll be
Oh.
watching out for more of those types of races as the night progresses.
All right, to your point, no surprises here. This was projected, but you're right. We got a seat flip there in West Virginia for Senate Republicans.
Let's look at the map.
in This seat
Ohio's red right
so
now.
Joe Manchin, to your point, retiring, not seeking re-election.
Yeah, you like that.
All intents and purposes, many expected this.
It's not a Trump hat.
But Jim Justice is vacating
It's an American
the
hat.
governor's mansion just briefly here.
And it's actually
Who
Cletus hat.
replaced him
Thank you very
there,
much.
in Charleston, West Virginia, you see there the governor's race in West Virginia. Pat Morrissey besting his Democratic rival there, Steve Williams.
So there you go. Georgia,
to take the governor's
60%,
mansion there
9%
in
reporting.
West Virginia, Pat Morrissey, Austin. He's, I believe, the current
58%,
Republican
4%.
Attorney General
That's
in West Virginia. So it just seems kind of like musical chairs in West Virginia.
North Carolina
politics
might go
tonight.
blue, huh?
Justice to Washington, Morrissey to the capital of West Virginia.
Yeah, ultimately,
If
what
Trump
I'm gonna say about this race,
gets
again,
all this, it's
we're looking
kind
at the AP's figures all night, and I've
Game
got the
over.
results up here. And again, we're looking at all zeros, but that just
Hi, Tara.
gives you some sense of how reliable
5 million
red
votes to
some
4
of these
million
states are.
votes.
The
He's
West
got a
Virginias,
million votes on
the
her.
Kentuckys. As soon as we start to see some more calls in places like Kansas and Oklahoma, we may see similar things. You might be wondering, how can they call a race with 0% of the results in? My guess is they're going to be filling these in very shortly, and Pat Morrissey is going to have a sizable lead over Steve Williams. Pat Morrissey headed to the governor's mansion.
All right, Austin, thanks so much. Wanted to definitely get in all of those race calls there. So we still have officials speaking in Fulton County, Georgia.
Of course.
We also have some of these
'Cause they need their
live matches
15
points
minutes.
As well, that's at a polling place in Maricopa County, Arizona, I believe. It's about 5:40 there, Mountain Time. We also have live looks in Washington, D.C., not too far from the White House there on the campus of Howard University. That's where Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz will hold their election night watch party. We also have the one there in
I think
West Palm Beach,
if I ran, I'd probably just sit at home.
watch party
I could be
held there
disappointed and go to
as
bed.
well. But like I said, all eyes briefly were focused on West Virginia, and this is an AP race call. Republican
He's
Jim Justice
too
defeating
late.
Democrat
He's
Glenn
old. Look
Elliott
at
in
him.
the West
That's
Virginia Senate race, Justice.
That's a
And
6-year
to your point,
term.
Austin, his dog, baby dog, going to Washington here. In the meantime, yes, please.
Ultimately, what we're looking at here are a number of gubernatorial races across the country. Only one of them was expected to be competitive, and we're starting to get an idea of what those results are looking like. Only 7% of the vote is in so far. New Hampshire is the one gubernatorial seat that we didn't know which way it was going to go. Chris Sununu, the outgoing governor, deciding not to run for re-election. So far, Democrat Joyce Craig has a very small lead over Kelly Ayotte. So,
Oh, we got 2 women running. Nice.
48.5%. Only 9/10
Do a 24-hour stream. I gotta go to work.
separating the two right now, but again, only 7% of the votes tallied. It'll be
Why don't you do a 24-hour stream? You don't work tomorrow.
in New Hampshire plays out as the night.
Sleep stream.
Yeah, let's bring into the conversation.
So you look at my Captain America shield.
Austin, we're going to do that with our friend there, Bill Scher at the Washington Monthly. He joins us. Bill, thanks for being with us. I know you're really busy tonight. If we can, let's just get you to respond to some of those race calls we just brought our viewers coming to us from West Virginia. No surprises there, right, Bill?
Yeah, no surprises. Nothing that
Yeah, I ain't listening to me snore either.
As a bellwether.
Maybe you'll do an art stream tomorrow. Okay. How long has it been since you streamed? A month?
Country shifted a little blue.
Since we did Spooky Night?
2016, but with some notable exceptions. Florida actually got more red. So when 4 years ago, when the Florida numbers came in,
over a month.
Trump, a lot of people freaked out, thought perhaps that was going to be the bellwether for the rest of the country, and it was actually the opposite. And so this year, maybe there isn't a nationwide shift one way or the other. Maybe it's more of a mix. So we're looking at, some people are looking at particular counties with partial returns, but it's still very early to be doing extrapolations right now, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's the theme right now, where we stand. You're saying too early for any of these extrapolations to get some of the bellwethers out there reading.
Do a sleep stream where every gift you get sends a noise to wake you up. Really? Just so I can be more grumpy?
So we're going to be getting these in throughout the course of the evening at these election night watch parties. This one there for Mark Robinson in North Carolina. Of course, he's the lieutenant governor.
She's very talented, Carrie. She made the license plates for work.
Results coming in from the North Carolina gubernatorial election here. Let's take that. All right, his challenger, the Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein, up 75 over Robinson's 21. This is only with 2% of estimated votes counted here. Bill, I got to ask.
What's this?
Robinson's in for quite a tough night, is he not?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, this is not going to be a nail-biter. Robinson's campaign imploded with the revelations about his posting on porn sites and calling himself a Nazi. The question is, does that drag down Donald Trump in the state, or did Trump manage to fully separate himself from Robinson and have the
Hopefully
treated separately? Obviously, Trump's going to outrun Robinson, but it's been a very touch-and-go race.
We're back.
Statistical dead heat. Remains to be seen, who has the upper hand in the state.
I want to talk. I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, Bill, but will Republicans do any soul searching about candidate choice and selection when it comes to these primaries in these especially kind of purplish, bluish, reddish states like North Carolina going forward? Will any lessons be learned from Mark Robinson as a candidate? I mean, he's the sitting lieutenant governor right now.
I mean, they should, but it all depends on how well Donald Trump does, because Donald Trump sets the tone. The candidate recruitment for Republicans in 2024 was better than 2022. You had fewer Carrie Lakes, but you do actually still have Carrie Lake running for an office in Arizona. So they didn't wipe the slate clean, and obviously Mark Robinson was an obvious misfire. But other candidates were more traditional, like McCormick in Pennsylvania or Sheehy in Montana, Moreno in Ohio. And we don't know how well these people are going to do yet either. But you had less ticking time bombs than you did with Mark Robinson. But again, if Trump pulls this out, he is not someone to.
All right, I'm back.
That's going to tell Republicans that letting your freak flag fly, can still work, and they may take more gambles.
Freak flag, nice one.
Another presidential race, Donald Trump, then you got a much bigger reckoning that goes on inside the GOP.
And let's just put a fine point on North Carolina. I've got the map behind me showing the Tar Heel state right now. So we're looking at the major metro areas of Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh. There are a lot of rural communities out here that are going to be discussed, but also Western North Carolina was hit by Hurricane Helene, and there were a lot of questions over whether that would impact voting there. Can you just put into context for us how important the Tar Heel state is in this cycle? It is one of those 7 crucial battlegrounds that we've been talking so much about.
Is it though?
Kamala Harris has a path.
The wall was very entertaining.
Without North Carolina and without Georgia, there's 2 states we're looking at right now, because those the battleground states where polls close on the early side. If she wins
cheer stream, yeah, funny,
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and she picks up the 2nd congressional district of Nebraska, which she is expected to, and she holds all the other states that are blue last time, outside of the battlegrounds, that's 270. If Kamala Harris wins North Carolina or Georgia, that is a very strong indication that she's going to have a good night tonight. But I'll give you a caveat there. If Kamala can't trade North Carolina for Pennsylvania, she can't trade Georgia for Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is 19 electoral votes and Georgia and North Carolina are 16 each. So, if Kamala,
He's still a million and a half votes ahead.
I'd say that's a pretty good chance she's going to be the president of the United States, but I wouldn't say it's a done deal yet.
So, Bill, though, back to Austin's question about the impacts of Hurricane Helene, have we seen any in some of the early voting in North Carolina and same-day voting as well? That was a key concern, especially from Republicans and the Trump campaign, about electoral integrity, voter integrity, especially in parts of western North Carolina. Have you seen anything to suggest that
Yeah,
those fears
you're funny. That's for
came to
sure.
fruition?
I haven't seen it, but I would not put myself as the expert on what was happening in western North Carolina right now. And obviously final turnout numbers are not, we're not going to know for a little bit. So we're going to want to compare those to 2020 to see if there was a dip there.
So I want to go to some of these other gubernatorial races. This one there in New Hampshire. So we have 10% of estimated votes. I know we're kind of ping-ponging over the map here, but it's
Verify natural disaster info. I don't have natural disaster info. What the hell are you talking about?
Very, very closely over her Democratic challenger, Joyce Craig, and the numbers changing in real time. Only 10% estimated votes count. It's still early. Chris Sununu,
Oh, did you?
Republican,
You're on full anime tonight, huh?
opting not to seek re-election there. Bill, what do we know about New Hampshire and with the presidential contest too here?
Well, this is a light blue state. It has gone Democratic for the presidentials for some time, although it got a little close in 2016 when it was Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. But it's also a bit of an old school New England Republican state on the gubernatorial level, libertarian streak. Chris Sununu was a popular Republican governor.
Not full anime. Just partial. Just partial. Just partial anime. That's all she's doing with the sake.
In that mold, and that's why it's a more competitive race than the presidential race.
Free Diddy.
All right, so I want to move away from this. We're staying in New Hampshire, though. We do have some of these results coming in on the presidential level in New Hampshire there. Harris up over
Trump, just give her it.
44, but only 10% of estimated votes counted. Austin Westfall and I, we were discussing earlier today the campaign's key focus, or lack of focus thereof, on New Hampshire in the last couple of weeks here. Bill, have you noticed that? Should we be paying attention to New Hampshire at the presidential level right now?
Well, Vance did a late trip there, but I think that was more bravado than serious play. But of course, the Trump campaign might be a little delusional at times and do things that they think they have a shot at when they really don't.
I like the tax cuts that he's proposed for businesses that are already paying a lot in taxes.
Well, they gave her 45% in there. Oh, why isn't this playing? All right, good night. Hi, Brittany. What the hell's going on here? Damn CNN. Hi, Tara.
Does
There we
also
go.
offer him multiple paths if he does manage to flip back Georgia from the Democrat control that Biden had managed to win 4 years ago. North Carolina, of course, was the one swing state that Biden did not win. Trump had won that by a fair measure back in 2020. Whether he manages to retain that or not. And like I said, this time North Carolina, again, the big variable is Hurricane Helen. Large parts of the state were affected by Hurricane Helen. The western parts of the state, many of which are Republican strongholds, were badly affected by the hurricane.
True.
Whether they've turned up in huge numbers to back Donald Trump, or whether some of them have
Why
not
don't you
turned up,
hush,
I think
okay?
that will be
Don't come in here
factor.
telling me to
Today
hush.
in North Carolina, again, the African American vote, like
Stay
I've been
down in
saying, has
Burgestown.
come out in huge numbers. You you are seeing a degree of enthusiasm. No.
Quickly talk about the 2060 because so much is being spoken of in
I
terms
don't
of
understand why
what one can
these
expect
people are
and
like
how surprising
Indian
really
and on CNN.
can
I
the
must be on their
verdict be.
channel.
What do you make of what some of the experts have been able
Which
to
is no
suggest
problem. It's
so
just
far in the conversations that you've
kind of
had?
a woo.
Because in 2016, Donald Trump,
from a source close to the counting process inside the
Next
Philadelphia
poll,
will
7
be
minutes.
when it posts its first votes at 8:01 p.m. They will be posting
Internet
just
keeps going
over
out. Oh,
110,000 ballots. These are mail ballots. This is the long-awaited first batch of mail ballots to be posted, and it represents, I'm told by this source, more than 50% of all mail ballots that they have received. This also, for context, puts Philadelphia well ahead of the pace, their counting pace from 2020, which we've all
That's
become
good.
so familiar
They
with.
need to be up there.
This is a big moment that we're learning first here on
We need to get
CNN.
these
They'll be
elections
posting
going
just over
nice and smooth with the
110,000
counting. As soon as the
ballots. We'll
polls
see the results of
close,
that when it posts
the
online.
numbers should be
So
coming out
official, Kate, as
15
you
minutes
say,
afterwards.
faster than we had seen last time, and the context that Kate just gave around that number, that would be more than 50% of the mail-in ballots.
I've
from
voted for
Philadelphia.
Kamala 8
It's a
times.
start,
That's
but
funny.
It's a better start than we've seen before. Pamela Brown is at the voting desk. And Pamela, with the spotlight on Pennsylvania right now, what are you looking for in the context of those numbers that Kate just shared with us?
So you have the early votes that are about to be reported shortly after 8 o'clock, and then you have the overall turnout. And sources I'm speaking with there in Pennsylvania and on the ground in Philly say that turnout in Philadelphia and some other places across the Commonwealth have exceeded expectations. So let's talk about that Democratic stronghold of Philadelphia and what I'm being told there. An official there tells me at Temple University, the line was around the block today. I'm told they had to bring in extra machines to tabulate the votes. Six total compared to the 2 that is typical per this official. The Philly official also tells me while they don't have an exact number for voter turnout today, they just don't have that data right now, that turnout has certainly exceeded expectations. 2 sources at the state and local level in Philly tell me ballots had to be replenished today in several polling
That's a
places
good thing.
there in this Democratic stronghold.
We need to keep it
Overall,
up.
one state source speaking to election officials in Philly said it seems the turnout there was, quote, quite high and seems through the roof. Let's look at the swing county here of Northampton. The state official also tells me at Lehigh University there, lines were up to 4 hours long.
That's ridiculous.
Not because of any glitches in the system or issues.
It's because someone was sitting in there, oh, what did they do?
Stronger than they had anticipated at this university where there are a lot more younger voters.
I've been in
Now,
voting situations
right
like
now,
that.
as it stands across the Commonwealth, there are 600,000 fewer mail-in ballots compared to 2020, but officials aren't done counting the total number, and they tell me it's actually more mail-in ballots than they were expecting. So we're about to get our first big look at those mail-in ballot numbers right there in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at 8 p.m. A lot coming our way this hour, Aaron.
That's right, absolutely. As Kate said, more than 100,000 of them, could be more than 50% of the outstanding for Philadelphia. John King, amazing though when you hear about 4 hours of lines, and we have heard that from Pennsylvania to Nevada that young people have turned out.
Hopefully everyone's turning out. I just want to say quickly, seeing Cape
Yeah, everybody needs to go vote. No matter what you're voting for. Who you're voting for.
That is the spot. I remember that spot too well from 2020. Let's look through what we have. Blank in Commonwealth, Pennsylvania right now. Again, this is the biggest of the battleground prizes. 19 electoral votes. Whoever wins this state has more options to get to 270 because it's 19. The next biggest one is 16. But so what are we looking for here, right? Kate was just right here in Philadelphia. It's the biggest basket of votes. If you're the Democrat, you need to run it up in Philadelphia. So she just said we'll get about 100,000 votes, right? So let's just go back to 2020 just as a reminder. Joe Biden wins Philadelphia with 81% of the vote and just over 600,000 in the count. So those first 100,000 will give us a clue, but it's a building block. We're going to have to wait to see what keeps coming after that, especially if those are early ballots. And we'll see, are the early ballots this year as disproportionately Democratic as they were in 2020? That's one of the things we'll see. But this is the building block for any Democratic victory in Pennsylvania. It has to be not only a high percentage, but you want a high turnout. You want to do some raw math there to run up your margin. Then we get into the suburbs around Philadelphia, the Collier counties, Bucks, and Montgomery, and Delaware.
Yeah, but look at all the red. There's more counties in red.
Pam just noted 2 places that I'll keep an eye on tonight. Again, I said this at the beginning of the program. Maybe you weren't with us. There are 25 counties in America, only 25 counties in America that voted twice for Barack Obama, then for Donald Trump, and then switched back to Joe Biden, right? So those are your bellwether counties. 2 of them are in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. One is in its northwest corner. A little Boston.
Oh, look, there's the aisle.
There's Erie. Look how close it was. in 2020. But the winner goes on to win the White House, right? And then you come over here. Pam just mentioned Northampton County, which is right along the Jersey border right here. Been there a few times in this campaign, part of our All Over the Map project. Great group of voters there. And again, look how close it was in Northampton County. She mentioned long voting lines there. I talked to one of our voters earlier today by text who said she was confident that Harris could pull it out, but that's a bellwether there. That's Pennsylvania. Now let's come back to 2024 and see what we have on the map. At the moment, we told you this early on, the vice president is leading in battleground Ohio. Not much of a battleground anymore. This is a reliably red state. So just take this. It's 20% estimated reporting. You'd rather be ahead than behind, but remember we told you some states you're going to see a lot of early votes first, and then you get election day voting. So always good to be ahead, but it's only 20%, and the expectation by the end of the night is Ohio turns back to red, but we want to look at the votes. To be fair to the former president, earlier tonight I talked about Hamilton County, Indiana, a suburban county just north of Indianapolis where the vice president was leading when we were in the 50%. We're above 62% now. Still very competitive. Still could be a sign that she's competitive in Republican-leaning suburbs, but Donald Trump is taking the lead in Hamilton County, Indiana, which, of course, is a red state already in his electoral map column. Let's just check in on the Commonwealth of Virginia, and then we'll move south. Again, if you're Harris, Joe Biden had a 10-point win here. Right? If you want to recreate the 2020 map, you want the states to come out roughly like they did then, only at 22%, but right now she's in the ballpark for a 10-point win. We'll keep an eye on that. If you get that 10-point win there, the question is, can you carry it over? This has always been Democrats' frustration. How did we get Virginia, but we can't get North Carolina? Demographically, they're very similar. You could even say there are some more advantages for Democrats in the research triangle. Younger voters, more black voters. Right now, the vice president has the lead, but again, we are very early on in the state of North Carolina, 59%. Just want to go back and look for comparison. 126,000 votes, she has the lead. Why do we know we're going to be at this a while? It's going to take about 2.7, 2.8 million to win the state. So we have a long way to go here. Let's just take one more look at battleground Georgia before we get to the top of the hour, and we're going to start to see votes coming in. It's time to do some serious math at the top of the hour. Donald Trump leading at the moment, 182,000 votes ahead, but only about a third of the vote counted, and not much in yet from the Atlanta suburban area. But Jake, in the hour ahead, a lot of votes.
Indeed. Voting is about to end
There we go. Next polls.
states and the District of Columbia. The biggest round of poll closings all night. A whopping 171 electoral votes at stake, including 19 in Pennsylvania, the battleground that could decide the presidential election. And let's bring you some CNN projections. CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of Florida with its 30 electoral votes, as expected. Donald Trump, CNN projects, will win the state of Tennessee, as expected, with its 11 electoral votes. Missouri will go to Donald Trump. Missouri,
10.
as expected,
Jesus.
will give Donald Trump 10 electoral votes. Here are two more projections for Trump.
Alabama and
will
Oklahoma.
go to Donald Trump with its 9 electoral votes. And Oklahoma, CNN projects, will go to Donald Trump with its 7 electoral votes. We have some projections for Kamala Harris as well. CNN projects that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with its 11 electoral votes, as expected, will go to Kamala Harris. CNN can project that Maryland, as expected, with its 10 electoral votes, will go to Kamala Harris. And CNN can project that the District of Columbia, with its 3 electoral votes,
Should have
will go
one.
to Kamala Harris. Here are the states that where the polls just closed, where we are not prepared to make a projection. They include Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maine, Mississippi, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. No projection in any of those states. Here is the electoral vote count at this hour. Donald Trump has 90 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 27 electoral votes. 270 are needed to win. Neither of them has approached that number yet.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Big battlegrounds. North Carolina, Kamala Harris is in the lead there with 51.8% of the vote. Donald Trump has 47.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris with an 11,000 plus vote lead. That's with only 5% of the estimated vote count. It's still a lot of votes to count in North Carolina. In battleground Georgia, Donald Trump in the lead with
10 points. Ooh, with 33% in.
44.6% of the vote. That's with a third of the vote in Georgia. That's 33% of the estimated vote. In the Commonwealth of Virginia, Kamala Harris in the lead with 54.2% of the vote. Donald Trump has 43.9% of the vote. Kamala Harris with a healthy 115,000 plus vote lead. That's with
It's going to be exhausting to run for president for both of them. Like, you're all over the country.
Kamala Harris has 55.7% of the vote. Donald Trump has 43.7% of the vote. Kamala Harris with a 9,517 vote lead. That's with only a tenth, 10% of the estimated vote counted in the state of New Hampshire. In Ohio, Kamala Harris in the lead there, 54.5% of the vote. Donald Trump has 44.7% of the vote. Kamala Harris has a 144,000 plus vote lead in Ohio. That's with a quarter, 25% of the estimated vote in the state of Ohio. John King?
Jake, we said this early in the program. We're going to say it again because caution is the operative word here. Sometimes the map early in the night, and we are still early in the night, even though we're moving on a little bit, sometimes the map looks a little different. Sometimes it looks a lot different than it might look at the end of the night.
Yeah, look, Texas is blue right now.
It takes a day or two. I say that because at the moment you see Texas is blue. Texas is most unlikely. Rule out nothing, but Texas is most unlikely to be blue at the end of our count. At the moment, the vice president's leading 61% to 38%, but it's just 5% of the Texas vote. And as you can see, it's all from the Dallas area right there. So we have a long way to go in Texas. Also, the Senate race there, we'll be keeping an eye on. But that one's not going to happen right there. We have our
Them Senate races are a lot funner to watch.
All right, so these are just the initial information coming in. It's too soon to call these elections. It's probably going to take a long time now, but the initial information that we're getting in is Trump winning Indiana and Kentucky, Harris taking Vermont as the first polls close in the U.S. presidential race. We just got to CNN. In fact, they are predicting that Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Alabama, and Oklahoma are going to Trump way. Let me go straight across now to Zaka Jacob. He joins us for the latest. Zaka, what is it that you're
Is this like the only guy you have out there?
Now with most of the states
You keep going back to this guy. I don't know if he got a toupee or he's balding.
The huge turnout. What does that signify, Zaka, with such a huge turnout of people coming out there and a very energized group who are coming out there to vote the next president of the United States of America?
Well, generally when there is a high turnout, it shows that A, it's a close election. It shows that both sides are motivated and enthused enough to come out. The question is, which side is more enthused? Which side turned up in larger numbers? And I think there is some anecdotal evidence, and I want to stress on the fact that this is anecdotal, in the queues that we're seeing in Philadelphia, for example, in parts of Georgia and Atlanta City and the suburbs of Atlanta, etc. You are seeing queues of younger people. Now, the assumption is that the younger people want to break for Kamala Harris much more than they want to break for Donald Trump. They see her as a younger candidate. She's 60, he's 78. There's almost 20 years between the two of them. She is seen as a candidate who appeals to Gen Z a lot more. I think the critical thing to watch out for is she running up the same numbers as Joe Biden did in places like Georgia, in places like Pennsylvania? Wisconsin and Michigan haven't closed yet. We will get to that in just a second. 8 o'clock local time, 5 minutes past 8 p.m. Eastern here in Washington, D.C. I'm at the
Internet back on, Carrie?
You can hear the music blaring. This is Kamala Harris's alma mater. She's expected to be here at some point in the night. We don't know when exactly.
Like how we're using a daylight shot of the Statue of Liberty.
CNN projections. Just a couple of minutes ago, you had that on the big screen here, and people were screaming out loud every time CNN said that they were projecting a particular state to go to Kamala Harris. But I think the critical thing is going to be which are the battlegrounds. Right now, for example, CNN, very, very early polling, it is showing Kamala Harris ahead in North Carolina. I don't think that that's how it'll end in the night. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. This is a state that Biden did not win in 2020. A lot of African-American vote in North Carolina. Also badly affected by Hurricane Helen. So which way that state might go is interesting to watch. Georgia, very important. Remember, Biden flipped Georgia 4 years ago, but by a razor-thin margin, by barely 12,000 votes. It is a traditional Republican stronghold state. In fact, the last Democrat to win Georgia was way back in 1992. Bill Clinton won Georgia in 1992. Is Harris running similar numbers as Biden did in 2020? If she is, then that's good news going into the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, because that shows then that she's able to keep the vote at the same level as Biden. And Biden won 6 out of the 7 swing states.
I wish it would line up with the
keep an eye
little
out for
guy
those numbers in the suburbs of Georgia and the
holding the
suburbs
chicken.
of North Carolina, because that will portend well as we go later into the night, as we look at Pennsylvania, as we look at Michigan, as we look at Wisconsin. I think the critical factor really, Avantika, is two things. One, are young people enthused enough to turn up for her? Like I said, we did.
Of responding to everything that came up. There wasn't that much, but they were great about responding to it. And that, I think, has had a lot to do with how well the day went. The two exceptions that we are going to talk about,
The
and
two
then we'll do a larger summary.
What happened?
But the two exceptions
What
are
happened?
that there were some bomb threats in Philadelphia. If you've been monitoring what the Federal
I hear
Bureau of
nothing in
Investigation
Pittsburgh.
has said publicly, they have recently stated publicly that this did happen in other locations as well. They stated publicly that there was some attribution to potentially Russian source. They further stated that they were fake bomb threats. And in Philadelphia, they were fake bomb threats. All the locations were cleared. As I said before, only one was briefly closed. That was for about 23 minutes. And that one is being extended for another 23 minutes. So let me say it again. Phony bomb threats. No bombs. No one hurt. No boom. None of that happened, okay? That did occur. There is a second event that occurred, which is a little unusual, which is that an individual walked into a polling place. That individual made a threatening comment to the effect of he was going to bomb that place. He was detained. Police are continuing to investigate that case. It has not been referred to us for charging yet. That is a developing story, and
Let's
obviously
see
when we
what.
have more information.
Oh, there I am.
Again, there's no indication that it was any more than words. There's no indication that there was a.
Let's see here.
Opening the envelope is the first step in processing them. So if
Right.
someone has to physically do that, they're not allowed to do it until election day.
Yeah.
In
so,
most places.
Yeah. So if that's true, early in-person voting, which generally leans Republican or Democrat, you know, you would expect if the Democrats opened a lead early in these states, you would hope that that same-day voting, which leans Republican, that you would end up closing it.
Right. And I think that's why it's hard to get too excited too early. I was just on Ron Coleman's stream, and they were watching New Hampshire pretty close. Ron's great, and they were watching New Hampshire pretty closely. And in the very, very beginnings, right after all the New England, all the East Coast polls closed, it looked a little bit red, and then it turned blue. But the thing is, it's probably, it wouldn't be surprising to me if New Hampshire goes blue, and also probably the bulk of the
All right, John King, thanks so much. And we have key race alert for you now. We're getting some votes in from two key battlegrounds. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris in the lead with 77.6% of the vote. Donald Trump has 21.5% of the vote. Harris with a 187,924 vote lead. But it is very, very early. It's only 5% of the.
Yeah, I don't think she's walking away with that.
The great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with its big fat packet of 19 electoral votes. In battleground Michigan, Kamala Harris in the lead with 76.7% of the vote. Donald Trump with 22.1% of the vote. Kamala Harris with a 62,597 vote lead. Again, very, very early. Only 2% of the estimated vote in the battleground Michigan, with its big packet of 15 electoral votes. John King?
Jake, I was just in your home state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's been at the gym. It's a slimmed down packet of 19 electoral votes. It's not so fat. It's slimmed down. It's looking good. Here we go. Where are those votes coming from? Well, number one, they're mostly coming from Philadelphia. Kate Baldwin told you just a few minutes ago we were going to get them. Here it is. She said we would get 100,000 votes. We got a little over 100,000 votes, right? 17% though, of Philadelphia, 87% in the first batch of votes.
Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, set up an awesome website.
Let's see what's going on here.
And just county by county with the early vote. I was on there every hour of every day just trying to analyze it. One thing that was evident from the early vote.
They really got Trump at 56%
based
now.
on the early vote, the African American population in Georgia is about 33% statewide. What the political analysts will argue is that you need, in order to win statewide as a Democrat, you need 30% of that vote. And the early vote indicated that Kamala Harris was just a tick above 26%.
Oh.
So that's another indicator, maybe another data point that we need to keep an eye on throughout the night as to what Brett was talking about a moment ago.
Brett, what are you looking at?
Well, I've been keeping an eye on this issue that
was raised in our analysis. It said that fully half of all voters say the future of democracy.
Yeah, that's why I've been flipping back and forth.
That's a big number. And that's a lot of people worried about that. Now, Trump gets some of those voters, but 60% of them are more going for Harris. I think that issue, democracy, is about one thing, about Trump and fear of Trump. So it's the same factor we keep coming back to time and again is, the Trump factor in this race is, is he able to overcome the resistance to him, which has been so dominant in three previous cycles? And that's what that vote is about.
Because if you were just running on the issues that include the most important, economy, immigration,
right.
You wouldn't see.
Wouldn't see that, but you got half of people thinking that's important.
And
that's a Trump. That's a Trump.
A huge issue for 2020, and it also resurfaced a bit with candidate selection in 2022.
Certainly did.
That he got blamed for. So the question is, are we going to see the increase in his approval numbers translate into something positive for him tonight?
And if you work your way back to what that's about January 6th.
Yep.
Can I clarify
and the price he paid politically for January 6th is still being paid.
And it also was hammered over and over again by current President Biden, the former candidate.
Yeah, of course he wins Allegheny County.
He was really on his lips pretty much every minute.
And Vice President Harris didn't take that ball for
County don't really matter.
But she did come back to it towards the end of the campaign.
The other thing about it I think is striking is it shows you the power of the media, because in many ways it's a BS issue when you think about it. I mean, think about it, go back to January 6th, which was supposed to be the moment when we all thought we should fear this. Our democracy was fragile. It was the premise of the January 6th special committee that we, as the co-chairman of the committee put it, we came critically close to losing our democracy. It's ridiculous. I mean, that our democracy is pretty sturdy. Our checks and balances worked. The thing was over in a matter of hours, and yet here we are. It's still a factor.
And here we are with a political rise from January 7th, 2021, to a candidate who is at least tied and in a good position and has a path to 270 to win the White House. Stand by, panel, if you would.
Speaking of that, let's go check in with Aisha Hasni at the Trump campaign headquarters. She is in West Palm Beach, Florida tonight. What's the mood over there? Long way to go tonight, but how are things looking, Aisha?
Things are looking good here. The crowd behind me still hasn't really filled up the convention center, and that's because I'm told that there's a long security line. Apparently, a lot of folks are at the Hilton partying right next door and still haven't made their way over, and that's because there's a really long security line. They got to go through the max before they get in here. So that is what's holding up the people, the spaces that you see behind me, and why that hasn't filled up just yet. I want to just talk about, you guys were on the big screen when you called Florida in here, and everybody erupted into a cheer. I was just talking to Congressman Mike Waltz of Florida, of the great state of Florida, and he was telling me how
Look at that
it was
hat.
a record early vote turnout, and that's why. And he thinks that's going to resonate across the country today. People are going to come out and vote for Trump. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Aisha.
Aisha, thanks. Let's check in with Jackie Heinrich. She's at the Harris campaign headquarters in Washington, D.C. Hi, Jackie.
Hey there, guys. It's quite a different scene out here compared to where Aisha is. I should note that at Harris headquarters, we don't actually have Harris campaign officials because they're all in Wilmington tonight. So we're trying to get a sense from campaign officials about who was invited to this event, how many thousands will be here, and who's in the crowd. But I am hearing from people close to the vice president, sort of watching these reports come in. They started tonight very anxious about Georgia, and the first batch of data that they're getting is leaving them feeling pretty buoyed about it. A source close to the VP says that they're seeing really high turnout in the metro Atlanta area, and as of a short while ago, they had a 10-plus point lead among women showing up. And also, they noted that black turnout was slow to start, but it is finishing strong, and they attribute that to their Get Out the Vote effort. One thing they've been wrestling with is whether or not they underestimated Trump's
Them
Get
all
Out the Vote
dancing,
effort.
getting their
So
groove
far,
on.
not seeing signs of that, but they're definitely feeling happy about that first report coming out of Georgia, guys.
All right, Jackie, thank you so much. Before we make some race calls, Harold, you wanted to clarify something you said?
The 58% 42, the Florida abortion initiative, that it didn't pass, though, because you had to have 60%. So I misspoke, but it got 58%, but fell by 2. And matter of fact, they had a marijuana initiative, which I would have voted against them, but it didn't reach the number either to get to 60.
Yeah, and
so both failed.
Governor DeSantis is touting both of those things down there in Florida. Okay, we have some calls.
Well, it's a good thing. Leave it up to your people.
We begin in Pennsylvania, home to a razor-thin Senate race between incumbent Democrat Bob Casey and Republican businessman Dave McCormick. The Fox News Decision Desk says this is Too early to make a call in Pennsylvania on that race.
This could be
They're both too old to be in
cheer.
office.
Fox News can project that Rick Scott, the Republican senator from Florida, will win his second term. We'll pause for applause down there with Aisha. In Maryland, it's too early to call the race between Democratic County Executive Angela Alsobrooks and former Republican Governor Larry Hogan. Alsobrooks has a lead, however, in our Fox News voter analysis as we wait for the raw vote total to come in.
And too early to call Missouri's Senate race between Republican Senator Josh Hawley and Democratic Attorney Lucas Kunce. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, though, we can tell you, will win once again in the state of Tennessee, another reliably conservative state.
In Mississippi, longtime GOP Senator Roger Wicker will take
too old to be in there.
home another victory. The Fox News decision desk can project that in Massachusetts, Democratic Senator
Too
Elizabeth
old to
Warren
be in there.
will win her third term.
Connecticut's Democratic Senator Chris Murphy will also win a third term. Not enough data to project the main Senate race quite yet.
And in New Jersey, current Democratic House Rep Andy Kim will win his Senate race, putting him in the upper chamber for the first time. This is the Bob Menendez seat. In Delaware, Democratic House Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester will win her first Senate
She looks like a
race.
teacher I
In Rhode
had.
Island, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse will return for a fourth term. And let's take a look at the balance of power and how it shapes up at this point in the evening. 8:18 on the East Coast, you have 43 Republicans securing their seat. One seat was flipped, that is West Virginia. The former governor will now be Senator Jim Justice in West Virginia. 34 Democrats have secured their seats in the Senate, and a long way to go in the upper chamber as well.
We have a lot of raw vote totals starting to dump in from those early states. More Democracy 24 coverage ahead as we await the next round of poll closings.
I don't know.
While you watch Fox News, stay connected at foxnews.com with live blogs, interactive features, and voter analysis. Foxnews.com, your ultimate second screen.
Someday it's all going to be yours.
Oh, I can't wait.
The epic
I can't wait.
There's no peace for this family, only revenge.
Our enemies don't fight fair. I know what to do. Believe in me.
I've always believed in you.
CNN's on a commercial as well. Oh, I can't wait for this comeback.
Yellowstone. Watch on Paramount Network this week.
You on guard tonight?
Oh, nah. They just got Simply Safe. It protects the whole home, inside and out.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Let's take a look at the map and see what's going on here. That just popped in. This will all be red. Yeah, see, there's Trump's lead there. I thought she had more than that. Ohio. It's getting closer. Pennsylvania. Ooh, not looking too good. Michigan. That's not far off. Illinois. I think that'll get closer.
Premium economy seat.
Oh, I think I broke it. Yeah, that new season of Yellowstone's gonna be great.
At New Day, to
Let's
have the
reload
opportunity
CNN.
to turn around and help those people at this point in
Not
time.
cheddar, it's quiche.
It's
Still in
labor of
commercial.
love, it's a noble service, and that's what we're all about.
New Day USA.
So economy, obviously, the
27,
biggest issue in this election. Let's
90.
go to Sandra Smith with a look at how that is playing out in our Fox News voter analysis.
Sandra. Hey, Martha. Hey, Brett. Yeah, just taking a look. This is the national level. Before I dive into Pennsylvania, because we want to get a look at how voters were thinking about the economy there when they decided who they were going to vote for. But this is their view on the nation's economy. And as we knew leading up to Election Day, it's pretty negative. But the thing to point out here is when you compare it to 2020, those that have a negative view of the economy, this is about 6 points higher than it was just 4 years ago. I want to look at Pennsylvania and show you what we're seeing there, okay? When it comes to those that are looking for change, we know this is a big part of the story of this Election Day. Those that are looking for total upheaval, this is Pennsylvania voters, okay? 28%. And you were to break that down by candidate, which we can now do as we work our way into closing time there in PA. 66% voted for Trump. This is a really interesting story. Those who are looking for substantial change, it is about split with the edge going to Donald Trump by 3 points. Okay, so substantial change. Those are people looking for still big change, and it is about even in PA. We've got a lot more we're going to dig into in Pennsylvania. We'll have that for you in a bit. Brett and Martha.
Sandra, thanks. Let's bring in our Fox Business panel. Maria Bartiromo, Larry Kudlow, Charles Payne, and Kevin O'Leary.
Love always takes his glasses off.
You all. Maria, you know, it's not just the betting markets on the election, it's the markets that we're betting prior to this election day. Right. What are we to divine from all of that tonight?
Well, I think when you're talking about investors and businesses, Brett, Martha, I think you really have to look at economic policy and tax policy in particular. The one issue that is bothering investors and corporations out there is the plan of Kamala Harris to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. We haven't seen that in a long time, and the word on that is that cuts into wages. Something's got to give. When a corporation...
State. We'll count the votes, see what happens. Remember, it shocked us after Dobbs with the referendum there. Ohio is still blue. We expect as more votes come in, that will swing back. But again, that's why we count votes. If you look at this big picture at the moment, Donald Trump in an unusual position. We'll see if it holds up. At the moment, he's leading in the popular vote. He, of course, lost the popular vote in both 2016 and by a much larger margin.
Oh, why? Why? There we go.
In 2020, at the moment, he's 2.5 million votes ahead in the popular vote, but that's about 17% of the national vote. So we have a lot of counting to do tonight.
I don't think she wins the popular vote. She could win the presidency without the popular vote.
Votes. If you look at this big picture at the moment, Donald Trump in an unusual position. We'll see if it holds up. At the moment, he's leading in the popular vote. He, of course, lost the popular vote in both 2016 and by a much larger margin, more than 7 million votes in 2020. At the moment, he's 2.5 million votes ahead in the popular vote, but that's about 17% of the national vote. So we have a lot of counting to do tonight, into tomorrow, and beyond. It will take. So let's wander through some of the battleground states.
Oh, God.
I agree with the assessment that Maria made on the policy front. But be honest with you, number one, I don't think the stock market yet knows who's going to win or what the policies are going to be. It's watching like a hawk, but I don't think it knows yet. I mean, I don't know. We've got to see what happens tonight. Number two, Trump has this working class coalition. It's a different Republican Party. You know, it started with him in 2015, 2016. It's ebbed and flowed. I think it's closed in high tide. The question is, with that kind of coalition, working folks, whites, blacks, Hispanics, young people, others, will it work? Will it hold? Was there enough of an expansion in Mr. Trump's base to put him over and win? I mean, a lot of people think he is. He's going to get much better numbers with Hispanics than he ever had before. It's going to peel off a lot of black votes for it, young people's vote. That was his strategy. I think it's a good strategy. It's not your father's Republican Party anymore. It's not that they hate business, but the business roundtable CEOs are not the center of the new party. The question is, could he expand that working class coalition enough to win this election? And give me another hour or two, and I'll try to answer that question.
We'll try to get you some more data there, Larry. Charles, you know, the Republican Party has changed, but the issue of the economy, the vice president has closed that according to the latest polls. I mean, he was up big when you asked that question early, but as she closed, it got to within 2, 4, it was 6 points for us in the closing days.
Yeah, Vice President Harris benefited from a couple of things, I think. First, the media. Every time economic data comes out, it's great, phenomenal. Of course, Friday we learned that last month we lost 28,000 private sector jobs. And by the way, you can talk about all the storms you want.
That's not good.
All the experts who they put together to come up with these consensus numbers also factor that in. Our jobs numbers have been going down steadily since 2021, and now wages are really beginning to drop big time.
Yeah.
Last week we had what they call an employment cost index. Wages are dropping, and that's bad news for everyone, particularly folks who are already having trouble keeping up. The inflation issue, and Trump went out on a dangerous limb when he talked about tariffs, because conservative economists hate it. Obviously, the media is going to hate it. No one will talk about the fact that the tariffs that he put in already have worked tremendously, have really hit China really hard. And by the way, the Biden administration pounced on them. They didn't take them away. They actually added to them. So, But all that negative press to go out there and say, I'm going to do this, when everyone's saying it's going to hurt the economy, a lot of people are listening to that. But still, folks know the bottom line is that the top 20% of Americans are doing 40% of the consumption. They have made all of the money under Biden-Harris policies, including flooding our country with cash we did not need. It was fun for regular folks when you got the stimmy check and went to the mall, but now everyone outside of the top 20% suffering big time.
May I add one thing, Martha, to the comment on jobs? Because here, too, it goes right back to policy, and that is the open border policy. The open border has not just had the effect on national security and our own personal security. The open border is an economic issue. For the last several years, what we have been seeing is an increase in jobs for non-citizens, illegal and legal, and a decrease in jobs for American citizens. That's important. People understand
Kevin
that.
O'Leary, just with the quick time we have left, she has talked a lot about being from the middle class.
You should
That was the
be
first sentence
getting
out of
a
her
dump
mouth
here
lot.
in any second.
President Trump has been promising a golden age in an American economic future. What do you see winning these voters over tonight?
Well, I was disciplined when I was listening to both parties, and disappointed we didn't get into policy enough because it got crazy towards the end last few weeks. Let's go back to taxation. We compete internationally. It's not like this is just isolated to the U.S. A 28% tax
Looks like
rate
he's lost some weight.
takes us into the bottom quartile of competition. That means capital goes to other places. That's not a good outcome. So I would have liked to talk more about that. The idea of taxing unrealized capital gains is beyond insane. Nobody ever discussed that in the last 2 weeks. I look at that. I have to invest tomorrow morning no matter what happens. And the idea of price controls, that's a bad idea too. We left those alone, and they are very, very dangerous ideas.
But don't you think, I mean, with all due respect, Trump hammered away on every single thing you just talked about. He completely opposes the corporate tax.
All I remember was Nazi hunters,
All right, guys,
and I remember
we've got a
firing
call to
squads.
make,
Well, then
and we
you
will
need
come
to
back to
read
you guys.
you need to read the stories
You
more
guys
carefully.
continue the
you
argument.
Need to read it more carefully.
Larry, Maria, Charles, Mr. Wonderful, continue
Thank
that
you
talk.
all.
We're going to make some calls.
That's because the hour is upon
Election
us.
alert.
3 p.m. on the East Coast, and the Fox Decision Desk
Arkansas.
can now project that former President Trump will win Arkansas. The state hasn't voted for a Democratic
Arkansas.
presidential candidate since Bill Clinton.
And as you
Well,
look
he
at
was from
the
there.
race to 270, as it ticks up, 111 for former President Trump, 72 for Vice President Harris. That'll be on your screen all night in the ticker there on the bottom, and then we'll scroll through the races by state. We'll look at Senate races, some House races, and governor's
Oh,
races.
Ted
as well.
Cruz
We'll
is
back on the
losing.
panel
How'd that
here
happen?
In studio, I think, Britt, they're still talking about the economy in that other studio. I think they're pretty much. It may go on all night.
I kind of wish we missed it. Sorry we missed it.
Just dip in.
Well, they were talking a lot more substance than when we heard on the campaign trail when it came in. They're absolutely right. I mean, we did not have a good debate, for instance, over economic issues, and it clearly is the number one issue on people's minds. Brett?
You know, we didn't really get into policy. I'm keeping an eye here on what are called the non-MAGA Republican voters.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of discussion over the past several years about whether the anti-Trump Republican
Bernie
and
Sanders
Trump
is
movement
too old to be in
would
office.
end up mattering. Our voter
But then I guess
analysis
you go to
memos
a
tells us
state where the
that if she
population is
wins,
200,000.
that will be the decisive factor. I'm not quite sure I buy that, but it's interesting that
Virginia.
and I
49,
think that what we have
48.
here,
wow.
the
That's
fact
really
that
close.
that the Trump campaign has made such an effort to turn out these low propensity voters. That is to say, what we might call unlikely voters. That might be how they plan to make up the difference among Republican voters that they might lose.
I think that has been the strategy, right? I mean, Kellyanne?
Sure. Well, we've said all night and all week, well, gee, we don't know anything. Well, here's what we do know, that the two parties had a primary season and only one party participated in it, the Republicans. We had a lot of strong men and I think at least one woman running in the Republican primary. One candidate and a super PAC spent $250 million to get 9 electoral votes. Another woman got 97 electoral votes. They spent over $100 million. I like them all very much. I'm glad they're part of the party. Donald Trump has expanded this party. Good candidates expand their party demographically, geographically. Florida, Iowa, Ohio, these are states President Obama won twice with well over 50% of the vote. We don't even talk about them as swing states anymore. He's going to get 1 million extra votes in Florida potentially tonight. So I have to push back a little bit about, is it this disaffected Republican? Every time there's a Republican of note, of name out there that goes and supports Kamala Harris, Liz Cheney and John Kelly and this, everybody just has to cover, the mainstream media has to cover it. They're missing the big story, which is the millions, maybe tens of millions of would-be, could-be, have-been Democrats voting for Donald Trump. They're rank and file people. They don't have big names. They're not going to go on MSNBC and crow about it and go campaign with Kamala Harris. They're showing up today, and they're showing up early. And the fact that he has converted this into the party of the worker, and he has told Americans not everybody has to be stuffed into a 4-year college degree, that the welders, the steel workers in Pennsylvania, the coal miners, they've got a seat at the table. They can work again. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And she's not doing that. She's not winning black men. Folks, Barack Obama did not help her bridge this gap, at least in Georgia so far. We'll see in Michigan,
Jessica, we will see that because that blue wall will really tell us something. But it is changing. The party's changing. There's a lot of Reagan Democrats in this coalition. One of the things to note right now at this hour, we have not called the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Right.
It is a lot closer than people thought it would be. You know, the Trump campaign did a stop in Virginia. They thought it was closing. We're not calling it yet.
No, not yet, and we'll see when that happens. My expectation is still that Kamala Harris will win it, but I understand that President Trump ran an unorthodox campaign in terms of where he went and certainly the things that he was saying. And that's really what I'm paying attention to and what's gone on in Florida. Now, that's great for him, a feather in his cap. Ron DeSantis has done incredible work to make Florida a place that a lot of my own liberal friends are happy to be living. But that is inefficient vote when you are trying to become president. And Donald Trump went to a lot of places, like having a rally here at Madison Square Garden, going to Coachella to give a rally, spending time in New Mexico, which he lost twice. And I think that if Kamala Harris is victorious tonight, there should be some examination of why those campaign stops happened and if his time would have been better spent parked in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Arizona, and one of the blue wall states that he has to pick up, Pennsylvania, for sure.
We've got to go ahead.
Yeah, we'll see how that inefficient vote is. It's a real issue, and we have to see whether or not it actually pans out. And one of the reasons he went to New York and New Mexico, and were these house races. I mean, there are house races in all of those places. So, and she did the same thing in places as well.
We're going to hold on. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with the panel, and we're going to dig into a lot of these numbers. Major poll closings coming up. We'll get our first look at Arizona. Remember Arizona?
Okay, let's see if CNN will work now.
So if he matches in the rural areas, all he has to do is improve a little smidgen in the suburbs or in the urban areas.
Next poll's 24 minutes. That's why I like CNN. They give you all the information you need.
Suburbs around Atlanta, because this is where
Fox really doesn't.
Trump is performing in the rural areas, as it looks like he is, turning out his base, then the race will be settled here by the margins in the suburbs. Only 16% of the vote in, so let's be careful. 60% for Vice President Harris, or again, more important almost, is can Trump move his numbers up? 39% in the suburbs right now. Gwinnett County suburbs, it was 40%. So at the moment in this one suburb, he's got some work to do. We'll see if he can do it. Let's move down here to DeKalb County. This is the most Democratic of the suburbs just to the east of Atlanta. 83% President Biden had in winning the state 4 years ago. The vice president running a little bit behind that right now, but look, that's not even 1,000 votes. So we have a ways to go before we have to worry about any comparison there. Let's drop down to Clayton County, the Atlanta airport just south of Atlanta. Big Democratic stronghold. This was critical to Biden coming back in Georgia as they counted the votes in 2020. Trump had an early lead, but as the count went on into the day after and the day after that, Clayton County was one of the places where Joe Biden got a lot of votes, and you see 85% for the vice president about 3/4 of the count, 76% right there. So how does that compare to 2020? About the same, right? You got 85 when you round that up. You got 85 when you round that up. So here we go in Georgia again. So far as you go through it, you've got a very competitive race. So that one's competitive. Let's come out of there. I want to go up and look at Michigan. We haven't spent any time here yet. Only 6% of the vote in. So be careful about anything, but you're trying to look and see what happens. Again, this is Kent County. Both campaigns focus on Grand Rapids and the suburbs. Used to be a reliably Republican area. Trump at the moment, but look again, we're under 1,000 votes right there. Trump at the moment, but here's what you're running against, right? Joe Biden gets 52%. If you go back to 2016, Donald Trump carried this with 48% in a state, if Michigan's going to be very close. It was 154,000. It was the biggest lead Biden had in any of the battlegrounds 4 years ago. But if you're going to be competitive for Donald Trump, you'd like to turn this red. If you can't turn it red, you would at least like to narrow that margin for Donald Trump. So we'll watch and see how this plays out in 2024. Come back to today's map here. Was just on the texting, I was going to say on the phone, it's texting, it's the same thing, with a key Democrat out in Michigan who said they're a little nervous about here, not Monroe County, but Wayne County. He said they're a little nervous about Wayne County. I think turnout among Democrats might be down a little bit in Wayne County. That would be a problem. The African-American vote in Detroit, the student vote, Wayne State, places like that, absolutely critical for the Democratic coalition. So we'll see when we get. Wayne County is always late to report, so it's going to be a while. We'll see if that's true. If those fears are true among Democrats, that maybe turnout is down a little bit here. If it is, then the vice president has to make it up here. Oakland County, again, 20 years ago, a Republican suburb, 58% right now. We're just approaching 40%. 58%. Remember, Joe Biden carried Michigan 4 years ago to 56%. That would help. If you're above Biden, maybe you get a little math to make up if you're losing a little bit in the city. We'll see if that plays out as we thought. I just want to pop down to bring this issue on the table as well. Washtenaw County, absolutely critical. Young voters were critical to the Biden coalition in 2020, even more critical when Governor Whitmer won re-election in 2022, and the Michigan Democrats made gains in the legislature. Washtenaw County is the home of Ann Arbor. It is the home of the University of Michigan. Been there 4 times over the last year, and it's gone now. The school won't allow a protest anymore, but student protests here about the Israel-Hamas conflict had hurt President Biden. The question was, after the switch to Vice President Harris, could she heal that wound in the Democratic coalition? So you see her.
Well, they're all going to vote
22%,
Democrat
so we
anyways.
have a long way to go. 60%.
People vote what they are all the time. It doesn't matter.
72% for the President of the United States. If that number stays that way, that's a problem. That's a problem. If 73%, if you round that up in Washtenaw County, 61% or 60% actually, you can't round that up quite yet. So that's something to keep an eye on as we go forward. And I just want to come out just the other day. I was also here. Michigan State is in Lansing in Ingham County. And again, you're trying to get students to turn out. Was at a Trump phone bank here. Mostly young men, college students, young men there. 50% for the vice president right there. You come back in time, and 65% for the president of the United States. So as we go through battleground Michigan, it's early. It's early. So I'm not, this comparison is not in cement yet, but these are the places you want to watch. At the moment, in a couple of key places, that would be Ingham County and Washtenaw County, Jake. She's trailing the president, so she needs to, if you want to get your math up in Michigan, watch those in the hours ahead.
All right. Now let's check in on the all-important race to 270 electoral votes as we head into another round of poll closings. So, with Donald Trump is in the lead here with 105 electoral votes. Kamala Harris has 27 electoral votes.
They didn't give her
270
everybody that
win.
Fox gave her.
From that, obviously, Donald Trump's still in the lead. But now let's bring you another key race alert. In North Carolina, battleground North Carolina, Donald Trump in the lead there. 52.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris with 46.6% of the vote. Donald Trump taking the lead there in the first time this night. Donald Trump has a 69,000
Simply
plus
Safe
vote lead.
Home Security.
That's with about a fifth of the vote in. 21% of the estimated vote in from battleground North Carolina. And battleground Michigan, Kamala Harris in the lead with 56.9% of the vote. Donald Trump has 41.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris currently has 59,000 plus more votes. That's with 7% of the estimated vote. It's still very early. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the all-important battleground, Kamala Harris in the lead there with 69.8% of the vote. Donald Trump has 29.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris with a 323,000 plus vote lead, but that's only 11% of the estimated vote in. It's still very early in Pennsylvania. In battleground Georgia, Donald Trump in the lead, 55.6% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 43.8% of the vote. Donald Trump has currently a 339,000 plus vote lead. That's with more than half of the vote in battleground Georgia, 54% of the estimated vote in from Georgia. Now we're standing by for the second largest wave of poll closings just minutes from now at 9 Eastern, when a total of 163 electoral votes are at stake in 15 states.
Ooh.
Remember, 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. All voting
Big number,
is
big
about to
number.
end in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, the battleground state of Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, battleground Wisconsin, and Wyoming. As I mentioned, Michigan and Wisconsin are the two battlegrounds on the line in the hour ahead. Pillars of the Democrats' so-called blue wall that crumbled in 2016 but was rebuilt to help seal President Biden's victory 4 years ago. Out west, Arizona is another major presidential battleground that we're watching. We're heading into a high-stakes hour in the Harris-Trump contest, with polling places about to close in 3 states that could decide the race. Let's go to Abby Phillip at Harris Campaign Headquarters in Washington. And Abby, voting is about to end in 3 battlegrounds. What's the outlook in the Harris campaign?
Yeah, Jake, I mean, I think the banner that you guys have right now is pretty much where the Harris campaign is. It is early in the night, and they're not seeing any clear picture of where this race is headed just yet. For that reason, they are really focused on the battleground of Pennsylvania, because that really becomes the linchpin of a strategy to get to 270. If they get Pennsylvania, the rest of the path becomes much more clear. So as I've been talking to people tonight, they're really waiting to see how these results, as they are coming in, really shape the picture. But right now, it's really not that clear to them. And I just want to be transparent about it, because they've got great numbers, but they're not willing to go out on a limb on any of this stuff just yet. In Pennsylvania, though, I think
Interesting.
what I am hearing is a lot of optimism. They're seeing good numbers out of Philadelphia. The local officials there are suggesting that Harris could exceed what Biden did in that city. And if she's able to do that, that would make, again, her path to winning that state much more clear, Jake.
All right, Abby,
Forgot I had
thanks
these.
so much. Let's go to West Palm Beach, Florida now.
Clutch.
Where we find Caitlin Collins. And Caitlin, what is the Trump campaign going to be looking for in the next round of poll closings?
Well, Jake, you just mentioned Wisconsin, and that is obviously a state that they are going to be watching closely tonight. I've talked with several campaign officials. They're not expecting to get a real sense of those numbers until much later in the evening, but they will be watching Wisconsin very closely. They want to see how abortion lands there and how close the margin could potentially be. But, Jake, one thing that former President Donald Trump will be doing that maybe no other presidential candidate has done is watching the returns come in from Wisconsin with someone who is also on the ballot in Wisconsin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He fought to get his name off the ballot, but the Supreme Court there told him no because it was too late. He was already on the ballots that people were getting in the mail. And I am told Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump tonight, watching these returns come in. Obviously, the reason he fought to get his name off that ballot, Jake, is there is a concern that with the margin, as small as it could potentially be there, that it could have an effect. The margins are everything in this race, as we are starting to see in these numbers coming in. So Trump will be watching that come in alongside RFK Jr., both of them on the ballot, Jake.
All right, Caitlin Collins in West Palm Beach with the Trump campaign. Thanks so much. Let's go to David Chalier now, who has some exit polls from Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. 3 battlegrounds we're hoping to hear from soon. David, what stands out? You look at the data from these 3 key states.
Yeah, as the polls are about to close in these 3 critical battleground states, I wanted to look at Biden's approval rating just as sort of a baseline of the environment in these 3 states. Nationally, his approval rating has been updated to 40% in the exit polls nationally. In Arizona, you see here, Jake, he's
57%.
at 43%. He's slightly above his national approval number in Arizona. If you look at Michigan, he's at 42% approval. Again, slightly above where he is nationally at 40. But Wisconsin's a different story. His approval rating, the sitting president, Joe Biden, is at 38% in Wisconsin. That is below where he is nationally. 61% of Wisconsin voters in this election disapprove of the job Joe Biden's doing. That's a hurdle that Kamala Harris is going to have to jump here in the Badger State. Jake?
All right, David Chalian, thanks so much. This would have been a very different race if Joe Biden had stayed in it. I mean, if it ends with a Trump victory, and we have no idea how it's going to end, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But there's going to be a lot of finger pointing and recriminations and wondering. But these approval ratings for Joe Biden are brutal.
6 in 10 in Wisconsin say that they don't approve of the president. I mean, it is brutal, and there's no other way to look at it.
It's extremely
and that
brutal.
is, no question, a big headwind for Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she.
I don't understand how you don't approve.
herself,
You
despite the fact
disapprove
that
of
she is
him, but
saying
then you
that
approve
she
of her.
wants to turn the page,
She's
and that
kind of
she's a new
the same
generation,
thing.
All the things that we've heard at every one of her stump speeches. That is a number that there is no question the Harris campaign is looking at and saying, we hope that that doesn't bleed into Harris and the actual votes.
Especially since the Trump campaign tried to do an effective job in tying her to that administration, saying not just that she was the vice president, but that, look, you were in the room, you were always there. There were all kinds of decisions you could have made a difference, and you didn't.
Well, and then, of course, there was her gaffe on The View when she was asked, what would you have done differently over the last 4 years? And she said, nothing comes immediately to mind, which was probably not the best.
Smartest thing to say.
Jake, if I can just look back, I think a lot of our viewers may just sort of big picture be looking at this and saying, Trump's got 105 electoral votes,
right,
and Harris has got 27, and there's a half a country of red and a little corner of blue. And I think the point we need to make is at this moment, and I think of it as a tennis match, there are no surprises. There have been no flips. Nobody has broken serve, if you will.
Right.
All the states that Trump won that he's won tonight are states that he won in 2020. All the states that Harris won are states that Biden won in 2020. There's been no swing state that has been flipped yet, and there is just the way the states roll out, that the Republicans get a lot of the early calls and a lot of big red states, but there hasn't been any dramatic change in this vote. They're both on track to 270.
Yeah.
It depends on states that are still not called.
It's a good point. This is pretty much where everybody expected the race to be at this point. We still have not projected New York. We still have not projected California. I mean, there are plenty of places with a lot of delegates. Electoral votes that Democrats are expected to get.
One place that is a little bit of a surprise. It's a surprisingly close race in Virginia, which has gone blue since 2008 and Obama, the last 4 cycles. And if you remember, Trump in late October, had a rally there, and people went, what's he doing in Virginia? That's a blue state. He's running
That's
very
true,
close
but
there.
there's only half of the
I understand, but it's 49-49 right now.
But John King set the table on that earlier when he said, assuming she wins Virginia, is she going to win it the way Hillary Clinton won it with 5 points in 2016, or is she going to win it the way that Joe Biden won it with 10 points in 2020? And I think that there can be something discerned
10 minutes to
from
the next
her
poll
victory,
close.
and
There we
how
go.
narrow it is one way or the other.
And just going back to sort of the big picture.
So what's
which I
up,
think
chat?
is really important, Chris.
What do you guys think of tonight?
And now we're looking at Virginia, which we were talking about before, but just earlier we were looking at the returns coming in from the blue wall states, from Michigan and from Pennsylvania, because we're actually finally seeing numbers. It is early, but they are important. Pennsylvania, we cannot stress enough how critical Pennsylvania is that you're looking at right now is to Kamala Harris. Donald Trump, if things go the way that they traditionally go for a Republican, unlike 2020, he could win the White House without Pennsylvania. It is hard to see in most of these paths, Kamala Harris winning the White House without Pennsylvania. And you see there 68%. That's what she has now. It is still extremely early, only 13% in.
Right, and this is the point that Chris is making about the larger electoral map. It also applies to the vote that we see in Virginia and the vote that we see in Pennsylvania. If Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania, and who knows, she's not going to win it with more than 60% of the vote. That's crazy.
No.
Like it is anticipated to be razor thin.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for all the votes to come in. So brew a pot of coffee, sit
Many
back.
pots.
We got a lot of votes to
I'll get my
to
tea.
look at. Let's go back to Aaron Burnett. And Aaron, voting's about to end in 3 of the crucial battleground states. that we are watching and that you are in charge of at your Battleground Command Center?
The command center, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona. Now, when you're talking about 60%, obviously it's not going to end up that way in Pennsylvania. You look at that blue wall, you look at Michigan. Jim Sciutto is in Detroit. And Jim, where you are now, this is the nuts and bolts that I think everybody wants to hear about, which is how the counting is actually happening. So tell us about where you are. This is an absentee ballot counting center?
That's right, in Detroit. And they were expecting about 100,000 absentee ballots in Detroit. But
really?
This is key. Because of changes in Michigan state election laws in 2022, they were able to begin counting those absentee ballots received before election day.
Yeah, why not?
Prior to election day. So at this point, they've already counted 92,000 of about 100,000 expected absentee ballots, and they expect when those 8,000 come in over the next couple hours, it's not going to take them long to finish up that count. In fact, we heard a short time ago that here in Detroit, they expect that by midnight tonight or perhaps a bit after, they will have counted not just the absentee ballots in Detroit, but early voting ballots, and voting that took place today as well. So you're seeing the effects of that law, which allows for counting to begin as early as last Monday. One more note, and this is important, Aaron, because in 2020, this site in downtown Detroit became the scene of protests and unfounded claims of fraud in the midst of that frantic absentee ballot counting, in part because
Make myself a little bit bigger.
ballots collected from
I'll
drop
be right back.
boxes around the city as well. Again, that's not fraud, that's not vote dumping, that's part of the process of counting these votes here, and they expect it to move very quickly tonight.
All right, very quickly, we'll see. And they have said they expect to be overall for the state of Michigan faster than last year, which of course was the day after midday. Secretary of State said she hoped it would be a little bit earlier than that. Well, we'll see as the count comes in. Kyung Law is at a Maricopa County counting facility. Maricopa County, biggest in Phoenix, fastest growing in the country, as they say. Kyung, one of the most important counties for the entire election.
For the entire election. That's why you have so many reporters here. That's why we're watching Maricopa County so closely. And let's take a look at the clock. We only have a few more minutes, about 7 more minutes before polls close here in Arizona. I want you to take a look at what we are watching, though, here at the county. What's happening here on that split screen, that other video that you're looking at, that's the inside of the vote count, the tabulation center. They are looking at the ballots. They are processing ballots. All of this is with the early vote. After the polls close, about an hour after polls close here in Arizona, we are anticipating to get the first results out of Arizona. That will be only the early vote, the ballots that have been processed up until Election Day. And then, as the night moves on, Aaron, those ballots that are out at the vote centers will be processed. They're counted, separated in there, and then brought over here to the tabulation center to be processed. And that information is going to start to come out as well. So it is a multi-step process. It takes time. There has to be signature verification. The ballots have to be cured here in Maricopa County. But something I want to address very quickly, because this is something that's happening right here in Arizona as we watch this clock wind down before polls close, is that there's still long lines at some of the spots that we are watching at some of these vote centers. At Mesa Community College, where we were at, and I checked real quick, it's still an hour long line. If you are in line when polls close at 7 o'clock local time, Aaron, you will still be allowed to vote.
Yeah,
right, which is amazing, and it is amazing that people are doing that and waiting. That is something, as you said, that everyone should be happy about. But amazing to sit there late at night, say, I'm going to sit and wait another hour or two to vote. As both campaigns hope they will. All right, Kyung, thank you very much. And let's go back to the voting desk. As these counts are coming in,
my taxes.
People have questions about how it's happening, what's happening where. Pam, Macomb County in Michigan, what are you seeing there?
Well, Aaron, I just got off the phone with this key swing county in Michigan from the county clerk, Anthony Forlini, and he tells me he's actually hopping in his car now with a police escort to get tabulator memory sticks because they're delayed with the results coming in. Why? Well, he says it's because there were very long lines when the polls were supposed to close at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so they had to delay closing and stay open until everyone had the opportunity to cast their votes. Officials are tabulating the results right now, but those first results from Macomb were supposed to be reported around 9 p.m., just 5 minutes from now. I'm told by the clerk it's going to be later than that due to the long lines.
Of course.
According to the clerk, there were over 122,000 early votes cast in person there and 182,000 mail-in ballots as of yesterday. They're on track to have more than 200,000 mail-in ballots, he says. But given the high early voting turnout, he told me that the expectation there was that there would be lackluster turnout today. That is not the case in that key county. Overall in Michigan, let's look at the numbers here. The Michigan Secretary of State says more than 3.4 million voters cast their ballots early or by mail. That's nearly 47% of registered voters. And listen to this.
They know what the percentage of Republican Democrats are, though.
Polling centers today. Let's go over to Milwaukee. They've had some issues over there in Milwaukee today. They're going to have to retabulate about 30,000 ballots after problems with the counting machines were discovered. All 13 tabulating machines are being set to zero. The ballots will be put through again. It's going to take time. They had initially estimated there the ballot count from the absentees would be done around midnight. Now it's more likely around 2 or 3 a.m. And then in Arizona, I spoke to a source there in Maricopa County, the largest county, that it's taking longer than expected to process early ballots. The first release of 1.1 to 1.2 million ballots of those early ballots at about 10 p.m. Eastern tonight will only account for early votes through last Tuesday, October 29th. That is less than the initial estimate that
Come on.
the first drop would be comprised of ballots through at least Friday, they thought. So it's going more slowly there. One more thing I want to
That's all going to be red.
Jake Paul, all of these guys. So, just because they're in college doesn't mean this time around that they're necessarily voting the way that you think college students would.
We also welcome Kayleigh McEnany, Trey Gowdy. Kayleigh,
I don't know
interesting
what's wrong
thing
with CNN.
I mentioned earlier was Florida. We've already called that state for the former president, but inside those numbers, there's a massive Puerto Rican turnout in Osceola County and other places.
Yes.
In other places, the media would tell you that MSG rally really upset the Puerto Rican vote outpouring, but Trump won that overwhelmingly with a massive Puerto Rican turnout. I'm not sure it affects things one-to-one, but it is interesting to look at.
It is. So Osceola County, as you point out, a big Puerto Rican population. Listen to this. Joe Biden won Osceola County by 14%. With 95% reporting currently, Donald Trump is leading by 1. Now, what other national lessons can we take from Florida? Miami-Dade County, a huge Latino population. No presidential candidate has won that since 1988. Ron DeSantis, of course, won Miami-Dade as a governor. But currently, Donald Trump in Miami-Dade County with 95% reporting is plus 11.
Yeah. Thank you. The electoral vote count about to go up. Stay tuned.
We are seconds away from 15 states, including New York, Colorado, Texas, plus critical battlegrounds.
We are going to win the state of Michigan.
Arizona, we need to fight this battle on every front.
With 163 electoral votes on the line, we have the results as they come in. The moment is here. America is watching.
Got 2 orange starbursts. Yeah, boy. Boom.
It is 9 o'clock in New York. Another 15 states have just finished voting. This is the heat of the matter here. The Fox News decision desk says it's too early to call Michigan one of the 2 battlegrounds in the Rust Belt that just finished voting, part of that blue wall that we hear about all the time.
The other is Wisconsin, where Vice President Harris and former President Trump appear to be locked in a very tight race. And again, this is too early, not too close, but too early to call many of these races. Arizona also too early to call as the polls are closing there.
Fox News can project that former President Trump will win Texas. That locks 40 more electoral votes into his column. Former president also has a lead in Iowa, There's no call at the top of the hour here. Remember that Iowa
Yeah.
poll had people scrambling there at the Des Moines Register saying it was Harris lead by 3.
Yeah, the same day Emerson had him up by 10, but that got a lot of
Hello?
people's attention because Ann Seltzer is such a well-known and usually correct pollster.
Oh,
so we'll see
God.
how Iowa.
Oh, that. All right, let's see here. Why is my mic? Oh, hello. Why can't I hear you? Where the hell are the settings on this? Settings. Accessibility, account, app. Audio. Wavelength. Boop. And where the hell is voice chat? Hello? I don't know if it's working.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me switch.
You got on too late, dude. My son just got up.
Oh, damn. It was only 6 minutes,
Well,
man.
I shouldn't say you got on late. I should say my game took fucking 4 hours to download.
When are you going to be on again?
I don't know, dude. Tuesdays are really the only nights I can get on, and even then, it's still kind of hard. Well, hold on. I don't know. He laid back down. Hold on. Should get him up now because he went to sleep at like 6, and I know he's not gonna sleep all night. But
right,
I kind of want to get some games in. He laid back down. Yeah, let's try to get some games in. My first showing was not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me just
I mean, this is the first time I'm playing this game in like almost 2 years.
Right.
Here, I'm gonna leave this party. I'm gonna wait for you to.
You just. Oh, you're in another party?
No, I'm gonna leave. I was gonna leave that game I was in.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you get in, just send me an invite.
Yep, just give me 1 second to switch my streams. Put you there. I can minimize you. Yeah, I've just been covering the election tonight. Because there's like nothing else to do. You there. Everything's got to move over now. Live. Xbox. Alright.
Man.
That election shit's kind of ridiculous.
Is it?
hear
I
me
haven't really. I mean, I've kind of been looking at it, but I haven't really been paying too much attention to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be too early for a lot of shit to be.
Yeah.
I figured I could, like, whenever I lay down for bed, I can Watch some of it. Alright, I'm in here.
Yeah, how's morning shift treating you?
Dude, I hate getting up early. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing it. None of it matters, dude. It fucking sucks.
You just want to do Nuketown?
I mean, I know Nuketown. It doesn't matter. I really don't care. I just want to get some games in. I know I'm not going to be able to stay on long. He's going to get up. Which sucks for me, because I got to be up fucking early.
Yeah, so do I.
Did Trump win Virginia?
He's trending that way. Yeah, it sure is trending that way. Which is really awkward.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
But if he wins that kind of wipes out him needing Pennsylvania. Because he'll get the small, like, as soon as the east or the west coast hits, her numbers are gonna fucking shoot up there. So.
Yeah. I don't have any weapons or anything, so.
I think the first one's an M4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just letting you know I'm not gonna be very good. Plus, I haven't played this game in forever. But at least we're playing a map that I know now, because last map.
Yeah, they're a little confusing.
Last game I played, the map I played, I fucking had no clue.
Dude, I'm gonna yell at Justin. He's in here making all kind of fucking classes again. Told him he could have one class.
Let's see what you're made of. Take a seat. Take a beat.
Capturing. Keep an eye out.
We control zone C.
Oh my god, he got fucking C4 on this. I'm really gonna punch him in the head.
Tossing Semtex.
Oh shit.
TACOM, I need eyes overhead.
Get the fuck out of here. I can't believe no one's captured B yet.
Capping the objective. Stay sharp.
Securing B.
We've got to be losing A, right?
Bravo zone secure.
Or C?
I'll say this once. Do not.
What the fuck just hit me? Huh?
You have to snipe me from a distance.
Requesting recon above. Secure an alpha.
Tossing stun.
Taking A. We're losing Charlie.
You didn't think I'd let that go, did ya?
Taking Alpha. Losing Bravo.
Oh, what a random grenade.
Lock down A. Bravo locked. Taking Bravo underway.
Why
Shit.
did I go for a grenade? Fuck.
Sentry turrets up.
like really laggy tonight.
Securing B.
I'm on the objective.
He's on the other side of you.
Requesting CUAV above. Getting UAV on grid.
Killed him, but he fucking dropped in a grenade.
What the fuck?
Losing Bravo. Losing B.
Oh, I'm so fucking laggy.
Securing Charlie. Sentry turret established. Taking Bravo underway.
Beginning capture.
Securing C.
Get out of here, man. I had him. Oh
Driving out
my god, dude. I'm gonna kill this kid.
Bravo is on. TACOM, I need eyes overhead.
What the hell's detonate, RB?
We're losing Alpha.
Damn, I thought that dude was there. Fuck. Come on.
Stun send.
TACOM, deploy counter UAV.
Sharpshooter removed. Enemy marksman down. Now's our chance.
Oh, I was fucking reloading. That's why I like using fucking heavy machine guns.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm going back to.
Control Bravo.
Taking this objective.
Requesting recon above.
RCXD ready.
B locked down. TACOM, commence watchdog helo mission.
So don't see him there.
Losing Bravo.
RCXD deployed.
Getting UAV on grid. Enemy CUAV inbound. Enemy UAV inbound.
Sending concussion.
Forgot they had a door over there.
Losing B. Lost B. Requesting CUAV above. Securing B.
Oh.
Taking Bravo underway.
Indicating waypoint.
Deploying sentry turret. Requesting recon above. B secured. Losing Bravo.
Damn it.
Where the fuck did you come
Counter
from?
UAV established above. Hostile UAV established overhead. Losing B. Securing C.
Frag set.
How do I use my scalp pulse?
Right on the D-pad?
Yeah, I did that.
You probably got The counter UAV's up.
There we go. I got it.
Shit, sniper working. Got the sniper. Let's make
Probably
moves.
put that sniper down.
Capturing. Keep an eye out. Hostile removed. Toxin's done.
Are we about to take
Come on.
Charlie?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, died in that room.
Sentry turret's up.
I can't see.
Stun set.
I think they're setting up a spawn camp.
Losing A. TACOM, I need eyes overhead. Deploying sentry turret. Losing B. We lost Alpha. We lost B. No battles for second place. Crush those dirtbags. Securing B.
Sending concussion.
Take it out. Bravo is armed.
To the mid.
Nice.
That's right, dickheads. Piss off. Get a counter UAV in the air. Enemy is down. Let's get enemy. 12.
How do I check my? Damn, that's all I had. How do I check like kills and shit?
I think it's like R. Once we get past this. Yeah, I got 36 elims.
Yeah, I don't know how to check any of that. Okay.
I don't understand why this kid has to touch my stuff.
Acceptable example of it. Wisconsin officials are here to try to get some temperature.
So the Fox News Decision Desk can now project that Vice President Harris will be Delaware, the home state of President Biden, and there is at the race to 270. That makes it Trump 95, Harris 113 at this hour.
In a key governor's race, Fox can now project
Governor Church James Democrat spread. Sprays for Obama. Results would get C20 continues.
Another day in paradise, Black Ops. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I'm running with shotgun. Fuck it.
Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint located. Hostiles on the hardpoint. Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked in. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
I just blew myself up with a grenade.
Hardpoint is secure.
UAV prep for launch.
Bullshit, bro. I had you. This fucking dude, this kid's an idiot. He don't know how to play this game.
Hostiles at the hardpoint.
Did not see him there.
I didn't see your fucking name above your head. The problem with running with shotgun is either you're close range or you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take 2 shots to do fucking anything further than face, like right in her face. Yeah, I need to change that. Fuck it, I run with an RPK.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if it's even worth anything.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked in.
Oh, dude, this thing is fucking nasty.
He's right around the corner.
Oh, that fucking faggot.
Hostiles captured the hardpoint.
Didn't have enough bullets there.
Enemy has deployed your assault package.
Did he like fuck with everything?
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint is secure.
God damn it.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Doesn't feel as smooth as it usually does.
Dead call. Enemy watch
Damn, I'm getting hit by a hug puppet.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint identified.
Capturette, ready for deployment.
I had to reload.
Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have the hardpoint. Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked down.
Says port ready. It's understandable.
Your SAM turret has been destroyed.
Hostiles attached to hardpoint. They're the CIA. You think they were just gonna let you walk all over them?
The fuckers had us in a box.
Yeah, why doesn't this let me see fucking kills?
Oh, there's a you're cheating.
And when I go to scoreboard, it just shows me like time on the objective or whatever. Oh wait, there it is. 22 eliminations, 20 deaths.
Everyone be like, you're cheating.
I don't have shit unlocked, dude.
It'll all come.
I mean, I don't ever really get a chance to fucking play this shit, so
Yeah.
I'm not really too concerned about it, but it'd be nice to be able to run around with some other shit.
It looks like she's gonna win Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Which is not good.
Well, it doesn't make sense that 5 counties make up the whole fucking voting thing. Like every other county will be red by the end of the night, except for Erie, Allegheny, Philly, and Scranton. I mean, if they just did the popular vote, Trump won already.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not how it works for us. Sucks.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't even bother voting, because it doesn't really, like...
Yeah.
You know?
Domination. Capture the objective. Securing Zone A. Lock down A. Reclaim the advantage now. We lost B.
Why can't I fucking run?
Hostiles reclaimed the lead. Controlling Bravo.
She's up by 4.
Ouch.
Enemy care package above. Securing B. Taking Bravo underway. Locked down. Net call, napalm strike inbound. Securing B.
See all this. Sniper down. Sending flashbangs. Okay.
Taking the lead. Stay on task. Losing B. Hostile care package inbound. Enemy Hellstorm launch detected.
Yeah, I knew exactly where that was going. Oh shit, dude, you were dead.
Taking C.
Oh, I was gonna try to steal his care package.
Losing Bravo.
Back on, I need eyes overhead.
Hostile counter UAV established above.
Straight across from the other window.
Dude, that gun stinks. Well, I mean, it doesn't, but.
Taking Bravo underway.
I'm on the objective.
Bravo is ours. Losing Bravo.
How does that grenade not fucking hit?
We lost B. Controlling Bravo.
Still on track. And again,
deactivate.
Enemy care package above.
RCXD available.
B secured. Enemy UAV inbound.
Transfer available. UAV prep for launch. Electronic countermeasure active. Enemy drop.
Losing B.
Counter UAV 50% fuel remaining.
Losing Bravo. Bravo.
Cloaker killing music. Headed home.
Just say that. Central. Scan. South. Still not.
Taking Bravo underway.
She is under in states that are very Senate because
Taking B.
see if you don't
Hostile care package inbound. Bravo zone secure.
RCXD ready.
Losing B.
see
We lost B. Securing B. B locked down.
sit here, sent to everybody. States as numbers people, sources. Georgia.
Losing A.
Oh shit, my son's up. I think I'm gonna be up all night tonight.
Enemy mine.
Losing Bravo.
Shoot at the sweep.
Counter UAV is success. Center signal lost.
Damn it.
Cloaker in position. Deploying EDM.
Secured.
Establishing smoke signal. Cloaker reporting power reserve 50%.
Yep, I knew that was gonna get like everybody.
Standing frag.
Hellstorm incoming.
Mission timeline expired.
Bullshit.
Using smoke.
Taking B. Losing Bravo. Losing B. Enemy care package above. They're about to break. Give them a nudge. Enemy UAV inbound.
RCXD available.
All units prepare for exfil. This one's on.
Nice win.
I don't have to do a lot of things.
sat there all game and did nothing.
I mean, so do I, really.
Yeah. But I mean, you don't really have anything.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna try to get one more in and I'm gonna have to grab him. I don't think he's gonna lay back down.
Well, I'm probably gonna be getting off soon anyways. I'm getting close to 10. I gotta get up for it tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
We work 7 to 3, right?
Yeah.
I can go in whatever and work 8 hours, but I prefer to do like 7 to 3. But I'll do like 8 to 4 sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean, I could really kind of work whenever I want, but
it's just easier like that.
yeah. The earlier I get off, the better. Just sucks getting up so fucking early.
Yep. My alarm goes off at 6 and I'm like, ugh. $195 to $117.
You on Fox?
Yeah. Yeah, because like CNN's not giving her what she's gonna get. You know what I mean? They're like, oh well, it's too early to call. Like, Colorado's gonna go to fucking Harris, without a doubt.
We playing deathmatch?
I think so. Kill confirmed.
Kill confirmed.
Good way for you to rank up fast. Ooh, damn.
This shit ain't working. We've lost the advantage.
I just dropped the whole fucking mag down there and did nothing. Missed every shot there. Yeah, I'm the opposite of that Wayne Gretzky saying. I miss every shot I take.
I'm coming behind you. Let me go in there.
There's a guy. Fucking throw their grenade. What the fuck? Oh, that's another person. There's a guy around the corner.
Yeah, my own fucking grenade got me. My own grenade.
Mistakes were made. You hate to see it.
Yeah, I do.
I still miss the old school perks.
Dude, I haven't had a chance to like look at fucking perks.
That's you.
Oh, how'd they get behind me?
Every time I go to fucking reload.
They're in this garage here in Charlie.
Dude, he's kind of got
He
North
was.
Carolina at the moment. That's your teammate shooting you.
We got the lead. Now hold it.
These spawns keep flipping so fucking quick.
Bullshit.
Yeah, they're fucking everywhere, dude.
Yeah, there's one above us. Bullshit.
Get out there and get my tag. There you go.
Dude.
God damn it.
Oh, that was a fucking nice ass jump. Saved your ass there, dude. There's a guy in front of you. Oh, a lot of PA looks like it's turning red. Oh shit, they're all over here.
No.
Spawn life flipped. I'm sorry, a bip should kill you. One hit.
They don't kill you?
It's 2 hits. Like, one bip should do... If it was good enough in Halo, it should be good enough in this.
Miss Halo.
I know. You said that, I was like, oh, I'm about to download Halo.
Well, I mean, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
That's what I was playing it on. God damn you. Alright, Jack, I'm coming, dude.
Enemy UAV inbound. The fuck's going on out there? Tighten up and show some spine.
Triple kill.
Dude, RFK is really getting votes in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I know they were worried about that.
I mean, the Democrats would have won in a landslide if they would have just had him run.
How'd we lose? Damn, I had a good game, too.
I'm pulling the cord.
27 and 21.
China was small.
Move up, marksman is down. Sniper, take over.
Alright, I gotta get this little dude before he freaks out.
Alright.
Oh, hey, it was good playing with you for like 3 games.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, Tuesdays are really like kind of my only days because Tara works at the bar. You know, usually whenever he naps, this is a really late nap for him. I'm gonna be fucked. He's gonna be up all night. I ain't ever sleeping.
Right.
But yeah, all right, dude. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, later.
See ya.
See ya. the damn TikTok chat. When did you start still watching the election? Yeah. But I'm done playing that now. We're just gonna call it a night there. It's 10 o'clock. Kind of at my wit's end for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow with a new president. Have a good night.